In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
What's up, Panther fans? It's your boy Tony Dunn, a.k.a. The Professor. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast, the longest-running Panthers podcast on the interwebs. Tonight, we've got a good show for you. Ben McAdoo meets Charlotte Media. Oh, Phil Snow was out there, scruffy and gruffy and telling the honest truth. No Pinocchio nose on old Phil Snow for sure. So we've got that. We've got a lot of audio and clips to go from that. McAdoo also announced that Sam Darnold was the starter, and he also discussed his vision of the offense, while Phil Snow discussed the new additions and the new faces, and one who is absent in Damian Wilson, who was arrested this past week. So we've got that, and the Rock Hill practice squad or facility is dead while the draft is around the corner. And I tell you, it's the same conversation in the media and all of that. What will the Panthers do next Thursday? But we'll be here with the C3 Panthers live NFL draft party starting an hour before the draft, which I believe that makes it 7 o'clock. We'll be rocking and rolling. I've already been in contact with some Panthers media trying to get us some their insight on draft day, all of that. And you know who you do it with, my co-host, my wheelman, Cody Lashney. How you doing, my friend?
Tony Dunn, I'm doing better than Rock Hill after David Tepper has officially cut the ties on any practice facility being there. The draft draws ever near. We have a ton to talk about tonight, man. We always find something to talk about. Damian Wilson. We're also going to be talking about these coaches, Ben McAdoo, and giving Sam Darnold something of an endorsement, then immediately walking it back after putting his foot in his mouth. Stuff about Steve Wilks, Phil Snow. Man, we've got a slam-packed show for the viewers tonight. And Tony Dunn, you already know we're going to do it with the best Panther fans in all of YouTube. I'm talking about my man Drew, TX19, CJA, Craig Carter, D'Angelo the Legend, The Real Zero Chill, Jeff R., Joey the Blind Panther Esquivel, Mile High Joe, Panthers are Kings, Pipe Slinger, Ted Sims, Tim Estes, 10 Tizzy, Tony Dunn. Ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
The voice that makes them moist. CK in the house. How you doing?
Oh, just happy to be here with you boys here on this fine Tuesday evening as the draft draws ever so close. We're gonna have a lot of discussions, I think, but I'm glad we had some press conferences to review for tonight's show, because it was going to be a desert of content tonight had that press conference not taking place. So,
that's the truth.
I'm ready to get into it.
Greg, the man of many pennies, the man of many repairs. How are you?
Slayer of Black Mold.
Yes, sir. For weeks now. I'm doing all right, man. Just here to talk Panthers football with you guys. It's always a fun time. So, I feel like a puppy, because whenever I'm not here, it feels like I haven't talked to y'all in a million years. Like puppies have no concept of time. So, like when you're
right,
gone for
like they get
minutes,
home, you just were gone for an hour, and you're so excited to see us.
Yeah.
Well, we're glad to have you back, folks. The number is 252-228-5098. You can call in and be a part of the show. Don't forget, next Thursday, it's a big day. It's a big day. It's a big party for us. And I feel like maybe we should do the draft giveaway. If you go in the Discord, CK, Discord. I'm not good at Discord, but I know it if I mess with it. But we have a little room from last year, the draft giveaway.
Right.
So how can they access? They just got to go to our server, and can they then see that?
Yeah. As long as they use that invite link, which we may need to update, and we'll have to check it out and have somebody maybe test it out for us.
Give me a minute.
As long as you go to that
here in the chat too.
Yeah, go to that link, that invite link, and just join the Discord, and you should have all the necessary. Because I don't think that's one that requires permission. So if you've joined the Discord and you see that, you should be able to.
So they can, if you can join the Discord, folks, you go over there and you go to the draft giveaway server in the Discord, And what I need you guys to do, we're going to give away some prizes on draft night. But what we did last year is you got to do the top 10 picks. You submit the order of the draft, right? Is like what will happen. The top 10 picks, player name, in order. Doesn't even matter, like is a 1 through 10, right? You do the player, then the player's name. We're going to calculate who gets the most out of the top 10. There'll be extra points for basically if you get it in the right position, right? If you get the guy that's 3, you know what I'm saying? We'll do something like 2 points for that. The Panthers pick himself, if you get the Panthers pick right, that will be a bonus. So that will count more towards it. And then we'll kind of settle who wins or the winners based on just like the most right out of top 10. So that's how we'll calculate those. So go to the Discord, put your draft picks in, make sure you do it in, and then some way, like just make sure you mention us or somehow so that I know to make sure we get them. They're in order, all of that stuff. And we'll give away some cool stuff on Thursday night. It's always a fun time. A lot of people popping in and around. And with the Panthers picking at 6, the Detroit Lions at 2. And so, you know, I mean, there's going to be a lot of excitement. Even Ben McAdoo mentioned it, is that there's a lot of exciting talent. And part of the excitement surrounding this draft is the uncertainty of who the guy is for all these teams. I mean, you don't even know who the first pick of the draft really is. And we know Jacksonville, we know they have a quarterback. We know they have some talent on the offensive line, and we still don't know who they're picking first. Right. So it's going to be very exciting. That's it, I think. Let's go ahead and get into the show here. Tonight's show, Media Meets McAdoo. Ben McAdoo, actually, I wrote it in the actual title of YouTube a little different to maybe hit the SEO a little bit better. Ben McAdoo meets Carolina media. You guys have thoughts before we start getting into some clips about not talking specifics about what he said, because we got plenty of clips to dive into, but just initial impressions of Ben McAdoo?
So listen, I kind of think, if you look at what the Panthers wanted to do, they wanted an offensive coordinator that had a history of calling plays, that had tenure in the NFL, that's done this before. And I said this after we hired McAdoo. This was the best that we were going to do. When you're not hiring a head coach, there aren't too many offensive coordinators that want to come to a place where the head coach is on the hot seat. Again, there's so much instability right now involving just the Panthers in general, man. Not even Matt Rule, but when you factor in everything with this training facility, everything that's going on, Ben McAdoo was the best that we could do. And maybe I'm a glutton for punishment, but I'm going to give Ben McAdoo the same treatment that I gave Matt Rule last year, and that I'm going to throw away any and all of my preconceived notions about Ben McAdoo. He has a rebuilt offensive line, which probably isn't done being built with the draft here coming up. You also have someone who was a head coach in the NFL prior. So I like him. It's hard for me to come to too many opinions about the man just yet. I feel like we're still kind of getting to know him and what he's all about. But based on some of the clips that we have prepared here, Tony, and just listening to him, I like him. He seems to have a good head on his shoulders. He seems to have, at least from what he says, he seems to have a clear vision for what he and this Panthers team wants the offense to be. Minus some Sam Darnold stuff, which I'm sure we'll talk about. I'm not hating what he has to say so far.
I can't imagine a better, even given the circumstances, like you said, of how difficult it probably would be to court somebody to Carolina with that type of uncertainty. Even if the circumstances were better, I don't know if there's really much of a better coordinator you can, or a person you can pick. And I know that's going to sound crazy because what I'm saying is that other people that you would select are all roll of the dice people. Is like we don't really know anything about them. They wouldn't have a lot of experience, and like maybe they would be awesome, but we don't have any data on them. At least with Ben McAdoo, he's been a good coordinator in this league. You know, he has that experience that's going to add to one of the problems with the Carolina Panthers is a lack of experience, NFL experience in the coaching, among the coaching staff in general. I don't know. Is at the end of the day, is just like who else? What do you mean? Like Norv Turner? You know, it's like, what are you? You're either going to get an unknown commodity or so hot of a name they're going to try to get a head coaching job, which you're not going to be able to get that, right? I mean, I don't know really how you could be much better, particularly the need to groom a quarterback. And he has been known he's at least been associated somehow with good quarterbacks in the past, whether it was his time in Green Bay, where I think he did a year as a quarterbacks coach there. He was tight ends coach before that. And then his success, kind of the rejuvenation of Eli Manning. The only down part of Ben McAdoo was his head coaching period. And I guess there was one controversy when it came to quarterbacks at that time. He benched Eli Manning around the time I think Eli was like continuing to give the most consecutive starts. It was like something like that too. I remember that being a stat that Eli had owned or something to that effect. And then Geno Smith was the guy. But cool is that he's been kind of known for picking some quarterbacks and getting them right, at least in commentary for the draft.
Yeah. Well, let's jump into some of these clips here, Tony. And again, I kind of just gave him like, some praises, saying I like some of the things that he said. But by far the most, controversial thing that was said was surrounding Sam Darnold. He actually said that he saw magic in Sam Darnold's game. I'll let you hear it from the man himself.
Wondered kind of if your opinion had changed at all over the years, or just sort of what your opinion is of Sam.
Yeah, Sam was one of the things, one of the people that intrigued me to the job, to be honest with you. I think Sam does have some magic in his game. I think he's got some athleticism to him. I'm excited to work with Sam, and we've been working the last few days here to kind of get up to speed on the offense. And he's shown flashes of being a good player in this league, and, working together, hopefully we can get that to show up more consistently.
That same article, you mentioned Baker, and you said he had an edge to his game, which you liked, but you weren't sold necessarily on his athleticism. Any change on how you view Baker over the years?
I'd love to be able to comment on your question, but this isn't my first rodeo, and I'm not going to keep the comments to the players on our roster right now.
It's funny that Joe Person even thought that he would answer that question. Like, he's not going to speak on a quarterback that could potentially be ours. Like, they're trying to probe and see if they think Baker Mayfield is a viable option for us, which good on Joe for, at least trying to probe. You're muted, by the way.
Yeah, they also asked him a lot of questions about the draft, about specific stuff. You're like, he's not going to answer you any on that.
I guess you have to if you're a media member a little bit.
I like that answer. I'm fine with it. Like, look, number one is that's what he said in the article. He used the term magic in his game, right? And he's talking about him as a kid coming out of college. Like, there's moments you see some really cool stuff happen, and it's just about consistency and not turning the ball over, which they mentioned at another point in the press conference is like the key to getting this offense going is just to keep better care of the ball. So what is he supposed to say? You know what I'm saying? He's got, there's good things about Sam Darnold, like his potential, only 24 years old, has the physical attributes to do things. But what's the real problem with Sam Darnold is that you don't know what you're going to get on any given play.
Yeah.
Well, the thing that I maybe take a bit of exception with that clip is he was asked about his article, right? That he had, or an article that he was a part of, where he had before pre-draft of when Sam was being drafted, he had said that he thought that Sam had magic in his game, right? And so he was kind of, responding to that. And so he was, that those words aren't necessarily ones that he probably would utter right now, but because that is something that he has said previously, I think that it's almost something that he has to kind of,
he has to use that terminology.
He has to use it. And so I kind of take a little bit of exception with that because it is somewhat out of context, because I mean, he is saying it, don't get me wrong, but it's not like he's just making up that term now based on how he's played in the NFL. He's basing it off of what he's seen in his game in college. But he also, what we don't see is where Ben McAdoo had talked about what his opinion was of Sam prior to the draft, and that he wasn't a big fan of Sam Darnold he said he had some magic in his game, but it was ultimately a negative thing that he didn't like Sam Darnold as a quarterback for their team. So, I mean, even
and he happened to be right about why. It's like problems with his nervous, the feet, the turnovers.
So, can I show everybody why he was trending on Twitter today?
Yes,
because
please.
I mean, it was, dude, it's honestly hilarious. It's only 16 seconds, but it's great. And I'm going to be honest, it kind of endeared me a little more to Ben McAdoo, because especially after doing the podcast so long, we know what it's like to fuck up and say some things that maybe you shouldn't have said. But
and you look at Sam as your starting quarterback?
Sam is our starting quarterback, yes.
1 minute, 37 seconds later.
One of the things I've been working on is being better talking to you people. So, announcing the starting quarterback here, I just put my foot in the mouth. So that wasn't something I should have said.
And you,
I love it, dude. I mean, it's like, I don't think he revealed much of anything, to be honest. Like, like Josh in the chat just said, that's pretty much what he has to say right now. I mean,
he is the starting quarterback right now. It's not PJ Walker.
It's not like it was, it was far fetched for him to say that. Right now, if you look at the roster, he is our starting quarterback. Right. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to continue to be our starting quarterback. And I think that if they do have plans of him being the starting quarterback, then I kind of think, and I put this on Twitter, if Matt Rule is really okay with Sam Darnold being the starter this year, then it makes me believe that Todd McShay report even more, that Matt Rule would gladly jump at the opportunity to return back to the college game. And starting Sam Darnold is like a means to an end, the shortest path to that happening. So I don't know. I don't believe it. I know a lot of other Panther personalities think that it's impossible that we draft a quarterback at 6. I do not. I really do think that is a part of the conversation at 6, along with some of these top offensive tackle guys.
Yep.
I think there's a possibility that Sam Darnold is the starter in week 1. I think that's a very realistic possibility, even if we draft a quarterback. Now, will he be the starter in week 10? I don't know, right? And I mean, there is, and then I do also think there's a possibility the Panthers find a way to get rid of Sam Darnold and find somebody else, some other bum to replace him, like Baker Mayfield and things like that. But I think if anything, McAdoo probably, for him putting his foot in his mouth here, is more what I think is he's probably saying, man, I'm just a coordinator. Like at the end of the day, is that like maybe it wasn't him falsely saying Sam Darnold was the starter, but like that's Matt Rule's call. Mm-hmm. That's Fitterer's call going into this. And a lot of people are talking to McAdoo about this Sam Darnold and these trade possibilities and even the draft. Like he is like got so much influence, which I don't think is the case. I mean, I think they'll listen to him, but he's not just walking in there and like, oh man, I'm about to be the interim head coach.
All right. Well, the way he answered it almost makes it sound like he was had to think about what he was saying before he said it. Like when you ask somebody a question, they repeat it back to you. It's almost like they're searching for the answer because he pretty much just repeated the question back. Yeah, it says Sam Darnold starting quarterback. It says Sam Darnold is a starting cornerback. Like he was thinking about
Right.
how he wanted to say.
That's a good point.
So maybe he knows there's something else is going on, and he's just, yes, Sam Darnold is our starting quarterback, and has to say that for right now. You know?
He is known for talking about quarterbacks, and that was a big focus of today, Cody, is let's go ahead and cue up. He was asked, I thought this was a good question, is how do you, in your evaluation process, what do you think about the argument between what we hear as this pro readiness versus QB traits, like in betting on the future? And I thought this was a cool answer.
Evaluate that traits versus the readiness to contribute immediately.
Yeah. You know, I'm a big swing for the fences kind of guy. So just because you're ready doesn't mean you're going to be the best. But ready does factor in some scenarios. I think that, you know, experience obviously helps. The more games you play helps. I think your experiences under what type of system you played in may help some guys over others, and I also think maybe experiences in all-star games may help some guys over others. But at the end of the day, you have to pick a player that you're going to be happy with at that position, hopefully for the next decade. And readiness, it plays a part, but it's not everything.
If I could follow, evaluate.
Yeah, I love that answer. And I'm going to be real with you, man. I feel better about the draft knowing that Ben McAdoo is going to be a part of this process.
Yes.
Because of that first thing that you just said. Just because you have a more ready and prepared quarterback doesn't mean they're going to be better long term. Yeah, maybe Kenny Pickett is ready to step into our offense and be the leader. But is he actually capable of doing all the things that, say, a Malik Willis or a Matt Corral is capable of? That's a legit question that I think has been the question of the last 3 drafts, if I'm being honest. When you have these quarterbacks that are coming into the NFL, they're all coming from spread offenses that don't require full field reads. It's like
none of them are really ready.
None
you know what I'm
of
saying?
them.
Even the most pro ready supposedly is still not. They still have never played a snap in the NFL. The speed,
Trevor Lawrence
the complexity.
didn't play a snap under center while at Clemson.
Yeah.
So it's like these quarterbacks are coming in. They're not in a pro style offense. And that's why it kind of infuriates me talking about, oh, well, we'll just get a guy next year. Well, realize that a lot of the trepidations that people are having on the quarterbacks in this class are still going to be there next year. Bryce Young from Alabama comes from a spread offense. And by the way, he's like 5'11".
6 foot tall.
Yeah, he's like 5'11", 190 pounds soaking wet. So it's like, you know, from a physical perspective, some of these guys are actually comparable with some of the guys that are supposed to be, you know, a part of this better draft class coming out next year. So I love that answer. I think it was very nuanced, and I think that it was prevalent considering the conversations that we're all having around the draft.
Well, there's a fine line between readiness and talent that you need, though, because the best thing about it is you can learn readiness. You can achieve readiness. You can't sometimes gain talent.
Teach speed.
You can learn new tricks, but you're probably as fast as you're going to get. You're probably as strong as you're going to get. I mean, yeah, of course you can get, but generally it's easier to learn the ways of the NFL than to learn how to become a better athlete.
Yes. I mean, you can't, I mean, you can't teach speed. That's what they say. You can't teach speed. The other thing, I think I came away liking McAdoo after this interview. Like, I mean, I'm not saying I'm like, he's going to be the best thing ever. I don't know about that. He could, for all I know, but I didn't feel worse about the Carolina Panthers, about the Ben McAdoo selection. Is, if anything, I like him already more than I like Matt Rule.
Can I say, like, I don't know what it is, but it's just now dawning on me. I know we've talked about the fact that they did somewhat of an overcorrection, but we have 2 people on this team as coaches that have been head coaches in the NFL. Like,
Steve Wilks too.
Yeah, Steve Wilks, Ben McAdoo, and, you know, if you want to consider Matt Rule, right? I mean, you have, like, I don't care, like, whether they were successful or not. Like, there is a level of understanding of what it takes to be a coach in this league that I think when you see people drop back from being head coaches, they tend to have some sort of success in some fashion going back to a position that they were used to, similar to maybe a Dan Quinn, heading over to Dallas, or I'm sure there's probably any measure of people that you could probably point to have success going back to a position that they were successful at prior to becoming a head coach. So I'm confident. Like I as much as we want to, like, I think that a lot of people, even the media, are going to want to laugh and joke about Ben McAdoo and maybe I shouldn't have said that and all that stuff, which, in hindsight is hysterical. But at the end of the day, like, I think that he is making, kind of restoring a little bit of faith in the team. And this is blind optimism. I think we all have to have, if you're actually a Carolina Panthers fan.
We got to see it. We got to see it. I mean, he's got to go out there and all of a sudden make this offense better. But first, it's not going to be that hard to make it better.
Right.
No,
it was so
not
bad.
at all.
I mean, like, is that if it gets worse, then that, I mean, like, good goodness. But it's a been there before, man. Look, he has been in these press conferences as a head coach in a very big market, right? Like, for him, Charlotte, there ain't no pressure on this mug right now in Charlotte. I wish somebody would have asked him about Gardner Minshew, though.
Oh, there we go. Hey, that actually is a good segue right into this next clip that you have. And this has been McAdoo talking about his own personal growth. And I found in every clip, in every single thing that we're going to play here, I found some really poignant answers. And I like this one as well.
We all know coaches are hired to be fired in this business. And I was blessed to have the opportunities I've had in the past. And I'm blessed to have this one. During my time away, I spent a lot of time, either watching tape, talking to people who can help me. One of the things I've been working on is being better talking to you people. So, announcing the starting quarterback here, I just put my foot in the mouth. So that wasn't something I should have said. But, so I spent some time visiting some different camps and talking to a lot of coaches, a lot of different players. Had a chance to work down in Jacksonville with a good group of coaches. We had a rough year, but had a chance to learn a different system there. And then being in Dallas last year, being with Mike and just seeing how he created the culture there in Dallas, and working with Dan Quinn on defense and Kellen Moore on offense, and just having to, learn both sides of the ball and work on both sides of the ball was a lot of fun. Put a spin on both sides of the ball for both different coordinators. We all know they're.
Yeah, I mean, so it seems like my man's done a little bit of growing up and evolving since the last time that, people have really got to hear him speak at large. And hey, man, how about what my man Matt Knows Nothing pointed out? His hair is on point. He used to have the slick back kind of.
Well, yeah, that was the second year as head coach.
Yeah, but now he's back to just the all natural look, man. So kudos to him. I'm a hair man myself, So
he looks like, and maybe some of the Panthers historians can help me. It's like he kind of reminds me of those coordinators we had a couple of years before under John Fox. There was a couple of guys and people didn't like them. God, what was his name? Dark-haired guy, mustache, short hair though. But look, is that he's been there. He's been there, and he's been in a lot of different systems. And I think that sometimes that has taken maybe some of the sting and the pressure off of what happened in New York. Went into Jacksonville, but he wasn't an offensive coordinator in Jacksonville. He was a quarterback's coach there, consultant in Dallas. And maybe he's kind of bringing it all together. And this is, if anything, you got to worry if you're Matt Rule, is that one of these guys will be the interim head coach before the end of the year. Not only do you have Steve Wilks, who is a remarkably smart and has had some 1 year of head coaching experience. Is the offensive line coach they brought in from Green Bay, Camden or something like that? I forget his name, but he's been in the league forever. There's these guys are.
Does that name ring a bell?
Jeff Davidson. That's right. That's who he. But that's that's exactly who I was thinking of. So there's a lot of experience. In fact, probably the weakest link on the team is the head coach.
I mean, there's no probably about it. And we're actually going to hear from Phil Snow here. And I think, look, as Panther Nation, if you're going to pick a favorite head coach out of the bunch that we have right now, Phil Snow is the guy. Phil Snow is the one that's given us the defense that was looking good up until it didn't look good. But the Panthers have always been a defensive football team, and it seemed like Phil Snow would kind of continue that. And Matt Rule, again, it's like no one really believes in this man, and no one is going to believe in Matt Rule until he gives us a reason to. This is a prove it business, man. It's results oriented, and I think truly, depending on how this draft goes, Matt Rule will have no excuses given to him. When you look at the coaches and the offensive line pieces that we brought in, he's definitely the weakest link out of all the members of our coaching staff.
The saddest thing.
Go ahead, Greg.
I was going to say the saddest thing is he's been given more with and done less than any other coach I'm willing to bet that we've had in Panthers history. Like
Rule.
Rule with the offensive weapons he's had, and now the offensive line, which we've been desperate need for years. They've upgraded that finally this year. He's gotten more with and done less than anybody else.
But isn't that a testament to what some of these lawsuits in the NFL are kind of based around? Against Steve Wilks and Brian Flores and everything they have again. Like Steve Wilks got 1 year after that's they didn't get the benefit of Kyler Murray. He got Josh Rosen was the guy that they were drafting the year that he became a head coach, right? And we could put that on him, but that's also a drafted dude just took that head coaching job. And they drafted this guy, and then yes, they didn't do good that year. Don't get me wrong, but isn't that a same? When you look at what has happened, their year wasn't worse than our year was. If anything, they made better quarterback or better decisions as a franchise than we did. And Matt Rule is still the head coach.
Yeah.
I think that's just sometimes the nature of the time and the place. And unfortunately, Steve Wilks is a minority coach, right? And Flores got a couple of years, right? 2 or 3. He
got 2. Yeah.
And successful years, by the way.
Yeah. That one's just bizarre, right? The whole Flores thing, obviously there was some it's like a caustic relationship between him and the owner there. And on top of that, they have a minority GM. They have a black GM. So it's not like, there's some
the Dolphins.
Yeah.
And Joey the Black Panther makes a good point too. Steve Wilks got fired a year after the general manager got caught with he got a DUI. He had also given them all the bad talent and all the bad failed picks, and yet he's still there. And
it sucks. It sucks to be that guy, but sometimes you just you walk into a situation where the owner and the GM got a better relationship. Look at what's going on in Jacksonville, with Jacksonville. I think it was, right? Isn't that the one that they were all going crazy and they wanted to bring in Byron Leftwich and stuff like this? And then they just go, is that GM has gotten a ton of leeway. And Arizona was clearly one of those things. And Steve Wilks just got the short end of the stick, and it sucks. He had something like 450 roster moves that year. They just had it was like they were bringing dudes in off the street. It was a tough situation for Wilks. Speaking of different groups, let's play the different group clip because this was the first one that was asked to Phil Snow about the new faces and how a defense was going to look this year. Because last year, you go, oh man, this defense is, and we hear how they were second best defense, which is not true. All of this mess, but this is a new bunch.
Well, every year is new. So this group is different than last year's group, and how we develop and progress and communicate and our leadership, all those things have to be developed, over the next 6 months. So, but I'm really excited, and I think our whole organization is with who we have on defense. We've got an outstanding group. The 2 areas that if we want to be a championship defense, we have to get more turnovers, and we got to play better in the red zone. So those will be the focus over the next 6 months, along with developing our leadership and communication and just our depth and our football team. So, but I'm really excited about this group, and And I'm excited about the two new coaches we've added, and Steve Wilks and Paul Pasqualoni. So,
So this is a new year. There are new faces. There's some questions about these new faces. The Leonidas, that's not how you say his name. I learned that today. They said it much differently when they were asking questions about them. So we got some, Hassan Reddick is gone. You're going to try to have some different answers on the outside. There's still questions about how this linebacker room is going to look now that with Shaq having a good year last year, but one of your free agent guys, Damian Wilson, is brought in, and he is arrested. We'll talk about that in a little while. And then maybe what's probably most exciting about this team is the secondary at this point. Despite losing Stephon Gilmore, there's some players back there. You bring back Dante Jackson, J.C. Horn's coming back healthy, Jeremy Chinn playing at safety. You bring back Justin Burris at safety, as well as Xavier Woods, that's the new player on the team, I believe. Yeah. So and CJ Henderson, you get a quarter, some talent there. You got some bodies that maybe can withstand some injury. A little more depth there. So this is a new group, but I think that there's some things they can work with, Cody.
Yeah, I mean, listen, like I said earlier, I mean, Phil Snow, that's my favorite coach on the team, right? And then he mentioned a lot of the things that they want to get better at, and he said red zone. And I think offense and defense, the Panthers need to be a better red zone football team. I mean, I would even dare to say that some of our best defenses, we've been a bend, don't break kind of defense, where they might be able to move up and down the field, but man, when it gets to the red zone, this defense would clamp down on you. Yeah, just savage. And I think that our defense could really use a return to form and go back to that kind of style. And then partly, it was discussed some of the ways in which the Panthers might be able to do that. And then Jeremy Chinn was mentioned. And Jeremy Chinn, a lot of Panther fans have been talking, well, maybe we should move Jeremy Chinn to linebacker and just kind of let him be that fast fly around linebacker presence in our secondary. Well, Phil Snow was, doing his interview, and he actually gave us Steve Wilks' opinion on Jeremy Chinn. And this is what Steve Wilks had to say via Phil Snow.
Coach Wilks came in, and I said, Steve, I want you to watch Jeremy and tell me what you think. And he said, Coach, I think he can be an all-pro safety. So, and that's my feeling was the same after 1 year playing safety. I think if we just settle him in at the safety position and all the different stuff we do with the safeties, that, he's going to be a really, really effective and great Panther back there. So I'm excited about Jeremy staying back there.
What was kind of wild about this to me is the certainty that you want to have Jeremy Chinn back there at safety, but then you go and bring back you kind of do two guys in free agency, Justin Burris, Xavier Woods at safety. And he said even when they were asking him about some things that you still need to do that you could do for this defense, he basically said one guy at each level. I'd love to have one guy on the defensive front, one guy in the linebacker, and maybe a safety. And I was thinking, God, how many safeties are we going to have? Yeah. A little shell-shocked, I think. He mentioned, too, that the problem with that team is that they didn't even have a starting safety available at the end of the last season. So probably a little worried about that and really trying to cultivate some depth there. Jeremy Chinn, I like that maybe Steve Wilks has the vision for him. And Steve Wilks is the teacher, too, that could – not that obviously Jeremy Chinn hasn't had trouble picking things up. It sure hasn't felt that way. He's not been a weak link at this team at all. But maybe it's like, man, you could, if like all pro, like now we talking like, who would he be comparable to, like the Honey Badger or?
I mean,
it wouldn't be a free safety. I mean, right? It wouldn't be like Ed Reed or something. It would
No,
be
I mean,
like,
I think you're hoping for like a Troy Polamalu type of player, right?
yeah, there we go.
Yeah, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for a Troy Polamalu type of guy that can just be, aggressive, fast, in your face. And by the way, a lot of those tendencies are very clearly displayed in Jeremy Chinn. I mean, his closing ability and his nose for the football is second to none. I believe he was our leading tackler for 2 years in a row now, I believe. I could be wrong on that. Don't quote me, but I think that's true. And then this is partly the reason why so many people do want to move him to linebacker, because he does have that set of traits and skill set that does kind of connect nicely to that middle section of our defense. But I agree with Steve Wilks, man. I think that, on this offense and defense, players have been having to do more because they're having to compensate at other positions that aren't quite as stocked. And the past 2 years that we've had Jeremy Chinn, our linebacking core has been the worst that it's been, certainly since I've been a fan. But I think we can make the argument that it's the worst our linebacking core has ever been. I mean, outside of Shaq Thompson, we really have not had those dependable guys on the second level of our defense. So if you take out that necessity, then I do think that ultimately Jeremy Chinn is much better served as a safety in the long run.
I agree. I mean, like it just seems like more of a natural fit. I'm tired of like over hybriding players. Is that was what Shaq was brought in to be, was this Buffalo
hybrid,
nickel, and all of this, and then they just couldn't figure out which one they wanted to be, and he ended up probably needing to be a linebacker. And so I like the idea of having a clear vision of how a guy's going to work in your defense, rather than just saying we want him to be so multi-tool. Just let him do his job really well. Now, sometimes versatility is good, but I feel like it's more so on offense that is the case than on defense. So good things is CK, you were mentioning this before the show, before I think we went live, is Phil Snow he'll just tell you exactly what he feels about these things.
Yeah. He's not shy about talking about what he wants as far as out of the draft. He's not shy about talking about his opinion about players. If it's stuff off the field, he ain't talking about it. But at the end of the day, Phil Snow, I mean, for all the positives, I also have to say, like, he's starting to get to that age where I'm like thinking, all right, maybe. I mean, he's talking well. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, there's nothing like that. I think he's not sharp mentally, but I'm starting to just start like thinking this guy is getting like old.
He is older.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
he is older.
Like,
he's probably in his 60s.
Right. Like, at what point do you? I don't know. Like, at what point do you just stop?
Like, born in 1955, so he is about 66 years old.
Yeah. 55? No, it's 45 years to 2000, and then 22 years on top of that, so 67.
Yeah, my parents. Yeah, it's like 66.
I
think like somewhere 67. You're probably right, 67.
I was thinking you were saying 50s. I apologize. I don't know. No, my math is wrong in my head.
He was, like that penny math you were talking about earlier.
Yeah,
that wrong.
It's not. I'm telling you.
Yeah. And by the way, I just put a poll in the chat room for everyone to vote on. Do you think Jeremy Chinn is best served as a linebacker or a safety? Go ahead and vote in that poll, and we'll have the results.
Yeah, try to contradict old Steve Wilks.
Well, I wanted to ask about that. He's 6'3", 220. What's a average size for a linebacker? I mean, that's pretty big. Like, only thing I worry about is I imagine a safety being smaller than a linebacker in my mind.
He's about 20 pounds light.
Okay.
He's about 20 pounds light, but about 2 inches probably taller than your normal.
Okay. So he'd be a speed kind of linebacker.
Yeah.
But by the way, the guy for the Colts is similar build and frame, 220 pounds. I forget his name off the top
Darius
of my head.
Leonard?
Yes, that's him. Yeah. Darius Leonard, the inside linebacker for the Colts. Very
he's
similar
my fantasy
to
defensive player every year.
Dude, he's awesome. But again, I just don't feel that's where Jeremy Chinn is best served. Okay. And I think that once we do get some real linebacker prospects in, I think you're going to see the best of Jeremy.
I was listening to something, and I don't know if it was just talk radio or what the heck. I can't replace it, but they were talking about how the old middle linebacker of 250, 6 foot tall, 255 pounds is maybe that's a remnant of the past for this game, and they are needing to become a little lighter and more athletic. But it's kind of like you need to have a blend. You need to have some guys in your linebacking room that can stick their nose in the box and get mean and nasty. We've seen what happens when guards get to the second level against light linebackers. It don't get pretty, right? So you really could, is having one of those athletic kind of, like you're saying, that Steed type linebacker could be beneficial, but you probably also need personnel on the team, maybe on the defensive line or in that linebacking group alongside of them that doesn't put too much pressure on them in poor situations and can let them play to their strengths. So I like the idea. I like him being more able to play the ball.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you're a linebacker, now maybe if they play him at a different, like an outside linebacker, like I don't see him rushing the passer. I mean, like, he can do that occasionally, but I want to see him, like you said, back there playing with his eyes on the quarterback, getting in good. He can match up against some tight ends and some different things like that. Been happy with him. Look, by the way, he's only in his 3rd year this year. Talk about that.
Yeah, man. And by the way, one of the leaders of our defense, like seriously, one of the leaders of our defense. Like after we lost Luke Kuechly, having that on-field commander general, the guy that's moving people around, calling plays, Jeremy Chinn. He is an asset to have on the field. Go ahead, TK.
I was going to say, you got to keep in mind he was he may not have ever been the favorite, but I feel like he still was one of the most deserving for the Rookie of the Year, award that year, his rookie year, because of what he was able to accomplish. He did things that no other rookie in the history of the NFL was able to do, and in his fumble returns for touchdowns. Some of that you can chalk up to luck if you want to, but I think that Jeremy Chinn has clearly been a bright spot on a dark squad for the past couple of years.
Arguably the best draft pick we've had since Christian McCaffrey.
Right.
If you could think about this, is that like, could you say, all right, look, Brian Burns, it took some years for him to kind of come into his own, but he's still
Jeremy
Chinn
was instant. It took Brian Burns at least
that's what I'm saying. So Derek
Brown,
Brown, you could say, look, is that he's been available the whole time. But
JC Horn was pretty good when he was.
Yeah, but he got hurt. And still a top 10 pick. But so he better be good.
Yeah,
Jeremy Chinn is like one of these guys. I just don't have really any concern about him being good on my team. Like he's like one of the strongest links on this team at this moment. And you got him on a rookie deal for a couple more years. Very happy there. All right, and one of the things, Cody, that I highlighted a lot last year was the lack of experience on this Panthers staff. And even when it comes to, there's been a revamping. We talked about Ben McAdoo being added as offensive coordinator, brings head coaching experience. You get the Tabor guy who is now the special teams coordinator, has been a special teams coach for 13 or 15 years at this point. So he's got a lot of experience. You get the Camden, I think that's his name, the new offensive line coach. And even the best group, the defense, got more experience. Let's hear how this defensive squad or this defensive coaching staff is trying to get better alongside of the personnel. Sorry, I should have set that up better.
Is this one of the most experienced coaching staffs you've had on the defensive side of the ball? For someone with his level of experience and expertise, he just must be adding some pretty rare knowledge to the defensive back room and really the defense as a whole.
Yeah, he does. And now Coach Pasqualoni does too now.
Sure.
He's been a coordinator on both sides of the football, been a head coach. He really is exceptional sitting in the meeting room. So, I always like and I think all of us do, new ideas. You got to stay ahead of these offensive coordinators if you're going to be successful at any level anymore. And so the new ideas and what I really like about both of them is fundamentally they're really sound football coaches, and they're demanding. So I think our players will get better in those two areas every day. So I'm excited to see the progress over the next 6 months.
He just likes Paul Pasqualoni because they could go to the IHOP or the Cracker Barrel or the Waffle House together. Paul Pasqualoni is about a few years older than Phil Snow. But I like some of these. I feel like the old gritty guys can be good defensive coaches. Like Wade Phillips was a great defensive coach. And it almost helps for you to have seen a lot when it comes to being a defensive coordinator in the NFL. Now, then the question is that are you maybe too invested in the game of the past? Like, could be some questions, but Phil Snow has not seemed overwhelmed at this point. And Paul Pasqualoni makes a good go out and get an early bite to eat at 5:30 and eat dinner at 5 o'clock as well at where do the old people eat in your town? They eat them at Dixie Queen, which is this awesome fried seafood joint that's been around forever in Winterville, North Carolina. That mug, the blue hairs be lining up at 4 o'clock.
Yeah, and then I think that he's also been around long enough to see football trends ebb and flow one way or another.
Yeah.
So like earlier you were talking, Tony, about how linebackers nowadays you don't necessarily see a lot of the stereotypical 6'4", 250-pound linebackers anymore. You're kind of seeing these 6'1", 220-pound guys that can fly sideline to sideline, more like a scalpel and less a hammer. Right. And for example, like in this year's draft, the best linebacker prospect that people are talking about is Nakobe Dean out of Georgia. And this is very true for him, too. A matchup on him and a guard isn't going to be a good matchup. But, man, moving sideline to sideline and just having a nose for the ball, that's what he does well. And I feel like that's that's kind of how what modern defenses are doing, considering what NFLs are doing with these pass-happy offense, throwing all over the football field, and bringing it back to Phil Snow. Football kind of goes in cycles. Things come into trend and then go out of trend and then go into trend. It's like rock, paper, scissors. And I feel like a lot of these guys, like Phil Snow, Pasqualoni, and even Steve Wilks, these guys have been around long enough to know all the different looks and the different ebbs and flows of defensive football. So I like that we have all these guys collaborating together and putting forth their, all their thoughts on defense and how they want things to change. And again, man, we have so much talent, y'all. We only saw 3 games of J.C. Horn last year. Imagine if you have him and he takes the next step. Imagine if C.J. Henderson takes the next step. Oh, by the way, Dante Jackson signed that fresh new contract. But now all of a sudden there's so much speed and athleticism and ball hawking ability in our secondary that it seems as though you should be able to plug in a few pieces at linebacker, maybe 1 or 2 on the defensive line, and you have the making of a nasty top 10 NFL defense like we saw flashes of early last year.
And staying young, the whole defense, thinking about how old the defense was and lacked identity just 3 years ago. That was one of the things we celebrated with Matt Rule coming in, was that very abnormal draft where you pick all those defensive players and all of a sudden you're like quickly injecting a lot of younger talent, and maybe we're going to reap some of the fruits of that at this point. And on top of that is it really feels like there's a decent amount of talent on the offensive side of the ball. So not the worst roster. And Cody has been preaching this for a while, is that it's not hard to see this team actually being successful. That was what his argument was with a Deshaun Watson coming or something to that. Now we're going to have to find another way to get to that success. But even McAdoo was saying, look, this ain't a rebuild. I mean, we got some talent here to work
We've
with.
got dudes, man. We've got real dudes. And Tony, what was I saying last year before we really knew who Sam Darnold was as a Carolina Panther? I was saying that if Sam ends up actually being the dude that can actually get the ball to every player on the team, and if the offensive line was better than it was the year before, the Panthers were either a boom or a bust football team. They were either going to hit big or it was going to fizzle out in a bad way. And it started to look like it was going to boom until it busted. Now, how much of that was on coaching, personnel decisions on our offensive line? You know, that's a whole thing that we've talked about for the better part of a year. But yes, we do have a good football team with a lot of good players on offense and on defense.
We want you to chime in on this, folks. I want to hear what you guys thought of your impressions of Ben McAdoo, his talk about the quarterback position, the draft, Sam Darnold. You can call in at 252-228-5098. That's 252-228-5098. Tell us what you think. Make sure you vote in that poll when it comes to Jeremy Chinn, linebacker or safety. What do you think, Paul Pasqualoni? Where do you think Paul Pasqualoni and Phil Snow eat breakfast at? Is this an all-star breakfast type of table? I think so. And you can call in at 252-228-5098. Let's go ahead and get into some cat calls. But before we do, bring them the voice that makes them moist. Put a little shame in their game.
Oh, you know what? It is that time, isn't it? We've got a bunch of people. And, man, they do. They want to hear that voice. And, you know, we always deliver. CK, talk to these freaks, Big Papa.
Hello, it's me. I'm here to talk to you about one thing and one thing only. We're sitting here watching four white, incredibly white gentlemen talk about the game of football, the Carolina Panthers. You're sitting here, you're enjoying the conversation. You come in again every Tuesday, every Friday. You watch every video we put up, every post game we have. But yet, tonight, you haven't hit that like button. I have one thing to say to all you freaks. Subscriber shame.
Subscriber shame. 115 strong viewers. Already 73 thumbs up. Hey, we have trained C3 Panther Nation well. You already know what time it is, man. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe every single time the C3 Panthers podcast goes live. You know we're going to be bringing the energy and telling you about these Carolina Panthers. Hit that notification bell for every single time we go live, and it's going to get fun, man. We're going to have a good off season. Tony Dunn, let's hit these cat calls.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty. You shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in the snow? Who's that kid that can use
one? Hey y'all, how y'all doing? G Cavassier.
What up,
hey,
G?
guess what? Today's my birthday. Yay.
Oh, happy birthday,
bro. Happy birthday.
Dad, he let me see 44 years. Okay, enough of that. Hey, y'all, the draft is coming up. I know y'all can't wait like I cannot wait because I don't know about y'all. I'm getting sick and tired of this Panther news. I don't know what the fuck to believe in no more. Now I'm hearing that Rock Hill pulled out against David Tepper and shit like that and this and that for that little training facility down there and shit, man. And with the quarterbacks, man, this is my final take on this shit, man. Really, I won't mind one of these new quarterbacks coming in, rookies or whatever. I think Matt Rule's gonna pick up a damn a veteran QB, man. And I don't know who we're gonna get. I really like Jimmy Garoppolo. I know y'all gonna kill me for this shit, but shoulder surgery and shit like that, I don't know, man. I do not know. I just don't want to give up any draft capital, man. So give me your thoughts on that. Keep pounding.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Let's celebrate G Cavassier.
Hey, 44
My man
strong.
he been listening to the show for a long time. Probably one of the longest catcalling people, like, is going back. So he's rolled with us. He's rolled with us in the car to the game for a long time, right there. And interestingly, where do you want to start? You want to start with the QBs, or you want to start with Rock Hill?
I mean, let's start with the QBs, man. That's what's
Okay.
on everybody's. That's what's on everybody's mind. I feel.
So is the what he is all right, and this is like there is some truth to this, is or not truth, like is like we have a couple of models that could happen. You could draft a quarterback at 6 and potentially have Sam Darnold maybe even starting in week 1, or and then at some point putting in that rookie quarterback maybe, or maybe even Sam Darnold finds some success. Maybe the strategy for Matt Rule would either be sell hope, right? Sell the fan base on hope in the future, or maybe he's out the door heading to college.
Yep.
Another way though is that we have talked about having some real players on this team. Is it's just finding a guy that can do enough to win you enough games to keep your job. And a lot of people among the Panthers community think if the Carolina Panthers pull 9-10 wins this year, and maybe even back into the playoffs, or just find their way in the playoffs, that will be enough to keep Matt Rule. And that's where the Jimmy G talk, the Baker Mayfield talk has some plausibility there. Is that you could see a world where you could get 9 or 10 wins with a guy like that, maybe with a good enough team. So that is the question. It's the $64,000 question, is what will happen and how will they try to proceed next year?
Y'all know the last time a quarterback from the West Coast came to the NFC South after a shoulder surgery, it worked out pretty well for that team.
Who was it?
Drew Brees.
Oh, Drew Brees.
Drew Brees.
Good point. Man,
no connection there. Just saying.
But the big difference there is Jimmy G is definitely older than Drew Brees was when he had that happen to him.
And by the way, I'm also now hearing that it's possible that Jimmy Garoppolo might not even be able to throw the football until July.
Oh, wow.
So that's part of the
It's
reason
too
why
much
these
risk.
teams.
That
That's what I'm saying.
Right up
that's
Matt
why.
Rule's alley.
That's why.
Yeah.
But that's why so many of these teams have trepidation around not only Jimmy Garoppolo but Baker Mayfield. Like, to me, they're in an identical situation. Like, it's two kind of undersized quarterbacks, mediocre arms. That their teammates love them. I mean, no one can say that they don't. All the reports are is people want to play for those guys, but they're just hurt, man. They're hurt too much. And it's been a liability for those teams.
I love the thought of trading back in the draft, getting not giving away our 6th pick for these guys, but getting Baker Mayfield. This is a meme, by the way. Getting Baker Mayfield, getting Josh Rosen, Mason Rudolph, and then now we can have Sam Darnold, all the busts from the 2018 draft come in and try to fight for a starting job for the Carolina Panthers. I thought that was the most hysterical thing I've seen on the internet about the potential of us drafting or trading for Baker Mayfield.
Maybe we could trade for every player that Ben McAdoo has criticized somehow,
right?
In his career. I mean, Baker, Sam. Who else did he not like in those drafts? Maybe we can go get those guys next.
Oh man, I thought it was absolutely funny when they asked that question about, do you still stand by your statement that Baker Mayfield or the X, Y, or Z is not good? Or he was just like, I mean, I'm not going to answer.
Yeah, I mean, I can't talk about another player, and I'm not tipping our hand about what the Carolina Panthers are intending to do. They kept trying to poke and prod, even finding him to say something nice about Baker Mayfield, or nobody asked about Jimmy G, thank goodness. But then the draft is like, look, he's like, man, and he was really cool with this question. Sheena Quick asked him towards the end, is there a quarterback you like at 6 or something like that? He said, man, you catch me with these questions after the draft. He was very polite about it, but what am I going to tell you? I ain't telling y'all squat. The number's 252-228-5098. Let's plow through another call. Don't worry, that Rock Hill stuff is on the agenda.
I hope Sam Darnold doesn't hear this.
Ghost of Sam Darnold's future. I'm just stopping in to let you know that I am going to be the starting quarterback of this season. Oh, yes. I know you are very happy about that, but I will
feel like
go
this
back
is
to
Kevin.
seeing ghosts. Ooh. Get ready to go 3 wins.
Oh, that was the end. That was the scariest part of the call. Get ready to go 3 wins. If Sam Darnold is the quarterback, we all have to, in October, all dress as ghosts for Halloween. We are all going to dress as ghosts. Sam Darnold's ghost.
I mean, dude, I'm already white like a ghost. Like I can already kind of make that work. And by the way, shout out to dude, I'm gonna try my best, man.
Deskar?
A Deskar Shuknath. Do you think they bring Shuknath? Do you think they bring Cam back? And thank you for the $1.99, man. I don't know. I mean, I feel like we're all so torn on this. I get where Tony comes from. It's like enough of the abuse of Cam Newton and then abuse of our emotions as the Cam Newton fans. And then now my man Cam is always in the news for saying something on YouTube, man. Like
finally, Carl likes him. How about this? Is Carl's always talking junk about Cam, but he's also talking about male culture always being undermined. Carl, you better come to Cam's defense on this.
Yeah, man. Yeah, the one time he might be able to defend Cam Newton. Shout out Carl, that's my guy. But yeah, dude, I've made my opinion known on this. I would love to give Cam Newton a real chance at an off season, at a training camp, time to really learn the offense. I would love that. Now, do I expect that to happen? No, I don't. And at this point, I do think it is a legitimate question at this point to ask whether or not Cam Newton still really wants to play football. And the reason I say that is you look at his business ventures that he has.
He looks like he's having just a good time.
Yeah, with the cigar lounge, and now he's become something of a media figure. There's a trend of football players and athletes now doing their own podcasts and having on other professional athletes and influential people. And it kind of seems like Cam's doing his thing and at home just doing that kind of stuff right now. Maybe that is how he pivots.
Kids.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
All right. Numbers 252-228-5098. Next call.
What's up, C3 family? It's your boy, 89J Subs.
What's up?
Hope everybody's having a great day.
What's up, brother?
I've been thinking lately, just with everything going on, it's basically a dumpster fire. I mean, when David Tepper got the team, he said Rome wasn't built in a day. And then last year we have our offensive lines like I-85 under construction. And then we get this build and then it's halfway complete and they pull out. So it's
Stop
just like
construction.
the Tepper ownership has been a microcosm of what that half-built building is. Except at least
It's
that
like
one
a
has
metaphor
foundation.
for Tepper's ownership.
But anyway, I'm ready to get this draft over with, and I was DMing Cody earlier on the Twitter DMs. Pause. That it's just I'm ready to get this shit over with because I'm just ready to move on. I'm looking forward to the 2023 season, to be honest with you. But anyway, guys, hate to be Debbie Downer, but as always, we're gonna keep pounding them beers because we're gonna be having long drunk season.
Yeah, that's the truth. That's gonna be our new catchphrase. That's our brand. Keep pounding the beers. Get a shout out to Jay Cryer, my brother from another mother. Don't ever let us on the town together. Grab all of them, grab everything, but keep them safe. You're speaking of this metaphor of Tepper's ownership. I saw somebody say that the last thing that Tepper did that anybody liked was put the Panthers logo on midfield. And,
Not a wrong statement.
And then somebody replied and then replaced the grass with turf and made us all mad. The Panthers, though, the news, we saw some news leaking about this weeks ago, right? Or months ago, maybe at this point, is that there were problems between the South Carolina, Rock Hills City Council and they're meeting their obligations. The agreement that courted this practice facility, or at least placed it in Rock Hill. It was today or yesterday, it was announced the Panthers ended the agreement with Rock Hill over practice facility. So they've terminated the bargain. I guess it would take a complete renegotiation at this point. I don't know if this is dead forever, but it looks like this could just be a barren this right here. And this was it's a kind of an interesting story. So the metaphor, we get that. But the real fun part about this was the immediate criticism and jokes that would come out. This is Joe. Actually, this was Joe Person actually on the serious side of the story saying Tepper says it's unfortunate that some South Carolina politicians decided to conduct a misguided, destructive public relations campaign to obscure their failures. Then adds it's prepared to sit down with Rock Hill officials and others to discuss what's next. Good luck with that. This was in reference to the South Carolina senator that said we got promised Jerry Jones, and instead we got Dan Snyder, and then there's all this stuff going on with Dan Snyder. But really, this was a dagger from Tepper, though. This is a good comeback. It's like, oh, you want to try to talk junk when you guys are just trying to cover up how much you blew it.
And they did blow this. Like whatever you want to say about it. And dude, we have some awesome ones of people putting these up, man.
The internet always wins,
dude. And look, y'all gotta follow my man Trap on Twitter, TEADES5, because this dude is the man. He's always putting the best, the absolute best Panther memes out there. So look,
this was the best part of this.
I agree with him. I agree with David. With David Tepper. Yeah, with David Tepper, it's like, listen, you knew that you were on the line for this, and look, I don't know all the financials of this, but if they weren't able to pay and they still had the goal of getting a deal done, why would you go and shit talk the guy? Like, why would you actively call him Dan Snyder, especially when Dan Snyder is like, now he's being investigated for cooking the books and having a second book and not, disclosing earnings to the NFL. Like, you're going to compare him to that guy when he's getting ready to build this mega facility interstate, and you would have all these fans and all these tourists that would be coming into the area. It doesn't make sense to me, man.
They just should have never made the agreement in the first place. That's what it comes down to, is they should have never. And this is what happens when you hang out with the millionaires and the billionaires too much, is try to live their lifestyle. And they should have just said, everybody should have just played hardball with Tepper. He wanted to do this regardless. And I know he keeps saying that there's an investment between the community and himself, but you could play hardball with him to a certain degree, and maybe even just invest less. But you did make the agreement, and you made the agreement, weren't able to honor it. Probably some complications too when it came to the pandemic as well, and state revenues, or probably county revenues, some things there. But Tepper won't playing around with this. But the best part about it was the fun that immediately happened on the internet afterwards talking about this. I saw T-Bone from WFNZ a few weeks ago say that this could end up being the biggest fireworks depot or something, like fireworks place. You could buy fireworks in South Carolina. And then he retweeted his tweet. It was like, well, I guess I was right. Then this was a fun one, is someone said something. This is Cubs KEG on Twitter. He said the Panthers Rock Hill facility come October, and it's the Spirit Halloween. stores that pop up for a few weeks everywhere in
Mhm.
these big buildings. This was a fun one from at Charlotte Squawks. that Furtick, who I guess is one of these. I guess is that
He's
somebody who is
so Elevation Church was created by Stephen Furtick, and it's one of
Okay.
the it's like one of the bigger churches in the country.
like a Olstein type.
I wouldn't
thing.
put it
Maybe
on that
not
same
that
level,
big.
but yeah, it's definitely getting
feel-
pretty big.
Yeah, and so he said Furtick is moving fast. I thought that one was fun. And Pat Coltrane, I didn't find the tweet, but I saw this. He said, "Damn, negotiating a deal. This is your own fault, Tepper," or something like." And I'm paraphrasing. He's like, "Y'all negotiated a real estate deal with a crackhead, and the crackhead being Rock Hill, South Carolina." I thought that was fun. So the internet wins again. Cody, what'd you say that Trap was? What did he have something on this one that I didn't find?
Yeah. So hold on, real quick. Order of business. We get these bots that come into the chat. All these webcam stuff. I accidentally blocked Josh, so I'm trying to figure out how to unblock him. Josh, if you're there, I'm gonna get you unblocked, man. My apologies. I'll figure it out. But yeah, that was 100% an accident. Do you know how to unblock someone, Tony?
That I do not, but
we will figure it out, Josh. That was 100% my bad. You're a cool dude. You did nothing wrong. And then I'll pull up some of these. Yeah. So look, this is my man Trap on Twitter. I mean, this is just one of the ones he just threw together. The Jiggly Room, yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
I saw that one. Yeah,
and then you saw the Elevation Church. Okay, Josh is back. Cool. Glad everything got fixed. Yeah, man, there's been a bunch of really funny ones. The Elevation Church that you already saw, dude. There's just so many funny ones, man. Like so many different things that we could do to fill that new empty vacant space. Brad Dugan even suggested that we all pull together some money and make that the new C3 headquarters.
Is it owned by the Panthers? Like, is that still owned by, or is it owned by
the
Rock Hill?
land?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good question. Does Tepper just have that land with a bunch of scrap metal? He's just waiting for metal prices to soar, and then he's just gonna go take it to the scrapyard.
Let's talk about something that I think is real in this. What's next?
Meaning what?
No, that's a great question.
The intention is, David Tepper is looking for, is going to be building another headquarters, right? Do you think he's going to take this slight by the politicians of South Carolina to, even though that he may be based in North Carolina, basically you're losing half of your state, right? You don't want to support South Carolina after something like this when you have a state senator saying stuff like this, like he said. So do you take this as an opportunity to potentially move the team to another location? Because now you're being
another state.
Yeah, you're looking at, let's talk about this for real. David Tepper is not liked by the fan base right now. He hasn't been liked for a little while now. He's come, and then all of this stuff. Like, do you think he takes this as an opportunity to kind of rebuild and take it somewhere where maybe he's going to be hungry for an NFL team?
Well, now it's more complicated because you're not just moving one team; you're moving two. He just brought Charlotte FC here, so it's a football team and a soccer team that he would be moving. That would be kind of unprecedented. Now that Los Angeles has two football teams,
right?
I mean, what other places are realistic at even getting another spot? I think the names that everybody kind of jumps off the tip of everyone's tongue is say like an Austin, Texas, or a San Antonio. Maybe that one of those places could hold a team. People even mentioned like maybe St. Louis or San Diego because they used to have football teams. But if those cities and states wouldn't fund a new stadium for those teams, why the hell would they do it for the Panthers?
Yeah. I think
why the hell would they do it for the Panthers?
Well, you got to keep in mind they didn't know what it was like to not have their team there. Now they do. and you might
Yeah.
see that hunger start to really kind of creep in.
Well,
if that happened, I just would promise you guys is that if the Panthers moved, and I think I said this last week when we talked about this, is I will not follow. I won't follow.
No, I won't either. I think the thing is, though, I think it's too difficult because you can't. I mean, he is the owner, but I don't think you can just pick up and move the team. There's a process. I'm pretty sure it has to be approved by the league, and so I think that's just
And
especially like Cody
Charlotte's
says
too
with the
good of
soccer.
a market.
Exactly.
You know,
And
maybe
there's plenty
if
of big
this
cities
was like
around
a dying old city, like kind of like a St. Louis.
It's the exact
Fair.
opposite. Dude,
Yeah.
I live here. Every other week, it looks different. Dude, Charlotte, how about this? Charlotte looks like one big apartment development. Everywhere
Yeah.
you look, there's a brand new giant set of apartments being built. I mean, it's literally everywhere. So many people are coming here. Like Off Grid says, Charlotte is booming. It's the fastest growing area in the Southeast. Part of the reason why David Tepper wanted to bring a soccer team here was because of the demographics of Charlotte and how it is very young and how it's very multicultural. A lot of people from a lot of different places, that would come and be a part of it together, So I agree with you, Tony. And listen, being up here and
But I
living
wouldn't
in-
put it past Tepper either. Like what CK's saying is that, like, I mean, I think moving the team would be the most dramatic and kind of wild scenario. But if I'm South Carolina, I'm a little bit worried about Tepper not wanting to do business with them until these guys are
out of office.
Yeah, and there's new people in that schmooze him and make better promises.
Right.
Definitely gives him some more, I guess, leverage on the state of South Carolina, because now you're starting about what about Wofford and training? Where's training camp? Is he going to just say, you know what, screw it, we'll move training camp completely out of South Carolina? The whole like trying to incorporate South Carolina and like making this a 2 states, 1 team type mentality is like Tepper could just be a big giant dick and be like, I hate South Carolina and I'm going to invest so much more in North Carolina now.
Yeah, this is just a North Carolina team now.
Yeah, he could change the name. Maybe he won't move it, but what if he changed it to the North Carolina Panthers?
Or no, what if he just did
Charlotte
one state?
Panthers.
No, but if he did 1 state, 1 team.
Oh my god! But
dude.
could you not see him doing that, being as vindictive as he is?
I know.
Yes,
I mean, he did have the
1000%.
revenge mansion. He tore down that guy's house and built on the ashes of the guy that wouldn't give him a promotion. So
He can move the headquarters to Winston-Salem if he wants to. I'll be okay.
But I
with
will
that.
say this though, like
Train facility up
I
there.
do think that the point that I brought up is a good one. Like, unless you're talking about like maybe somewhere in Texas, there aren't a lot of good places to be able to move a football team nowadays. Los Angeles is off the board. San Diego, they're not going to pay for another state.
That's like the most beautiful city in the world, right? Or like one of the top. At least everybody tells me that.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting.
You could have an open air facility there and get a Super Bowl.
Well, and also South Carolina benefited from the fact that Jerry Richardson, played football at Wofford, and he wanted to continue to do good things for Wofford, so he was able to incorporate not only his alma mater but South Carolina, do the 2 states, 1 team type of deal. But yeah, like you said, David Tepper's from Pittsburgh. He has no roots to the Southeast, anywhere in Carolinas. The only roots he has is the investment he just made on this football team. So, a lot.
Maybe it
of
helps
changes.
keep Charlotte keep the actual stadium,
right?
The city. You know what I'm saying? Because some people are saying, do you move it outside of Charlotte, and that could dip its toe on the state lines. And now maybe it's just like, hey, Mecklenburg County or whatever. Is it Mecklenburg County?
Yeah, Mecklenburg.
I also think that this didn't he didn't lose half the fan base with this. Like, yeah, he may have pissed the financial people in South Carolina, the government in South Carolina off, whatever, but the fans are still going to come, I'm sure. Majority of them probably don't give a shit, the fans, because the majority of them either A, couldn't make it to that practice facility, or the practice facility wasn't there anyway, so nothing's changed.
Or it wouldn't even be fan-centric, really.
Right.
I mean, they're where you're going to get your ticket sales and your merchandise sales. I think you get more money from the fans, so I don't think that it's going to hurt them financially or really be that different.
My part is like the vindictive aspect of David Tepper. Is he going to continue to push the 1 team, 2 states mentality? When you look at it, the reality is Carolina Panthers fans are probably some of the most spread out Panthers fans of any, like if you go to Charlotte, you're not going to Charlotte and finding a tremendous amount of people that are Panthers fans, right? Whereas you go to Pittsburgh, you're going to see a tremendous amount of Pittsburgh fans. I can't tell you, so I talk where I do my work.
They've been there longer. You got a lot more transplants to Charlotte than you just have long-term football fans.
But I think you have that similar thing with South Carolina, all these guys. So there's still a lot. I don't know that the majority of their fans are in just simply South Carolina or North Carolina. So I don't know that they're going to continue to push that narrative of two states, one team, especially after this debacle.
Yeah, it's a tough
Let's
sell.
just say he
man.
won't be saying it so much for the next 6 months.
Right.
Like I can't see if the keep pounding terminology has kind of been diminished a little bit in the lexicon of the ownership and the coaching staff, and now it's about the brand. There might be a little rebranding too when it comes to the emphasis on South Carolina, 2 states, 1 team.
Yeah.
Let's go back into the calls.
Can I ask you a question? Because somebody just brought up Virginia. Is there a state that would make you not leave the fandom of the team if they did move it to another state?
No, I mean, if they move this team and they're no longer called the Carolina Panthers, I will have to not do this podcast anymore.
Yeah.
And not like I just will have to cheer for players. Like I probably will still watch football, but I probably won't watch it as crazily as I do now.
Yeah.
Because I do have an investment on throughout the time. But I would probably become more player centric, where I know I would. And I would have to play more of just be like interested in fantasy football and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I wanted to add one more thing to the moving conversation too. When Kroenke, the owner of the Rams, as soon as he moved his team from St. Louis to Los Angeles, the difference in media market, it instantly gave them an extra $3+ billion on their evaluation just due to the media market that Los Angeles represents. From a financial perspective, like how many other places are out there that are more financially lucrative to David Tepper than Charlotte? Like, is it that much more money to be had out in Austin or, anywhere else?
Austin is a booming city right now.
I know.
No state taxes either.
Yeah, and no state taxes. I mean, maybe how many fans would you have there, though, considering that the Panthers have never been in that state? They already have 2 NFL teams in that state. I don't know, man. That would be tough. But yeah, if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense.
I think that the idea of is the football is either going to follow the money market, right? Mm-hmm. But even that maybe is a little bit changing now because of how like TV deals are going to be changing in the future a little bit. Right. So that is lucrative, but LA and that area is a different plane than any other place, because you have like the good weather, you have the giant amount of people, you have the celebrities, all of that. But the idea of a team moving north is like, that's a thing of the past. Yeah. Right. Sure. Like, I don't think it's like this. Really?
Where would they move?
It's like Texas.
I think Virginia could have a team. Virginia's not too far north.
There's not even a super.
Let's talk about even going west. Let's talk about going out to Oregon. I mean, Portland could be a potential. I know they have Seattle not too far away, but the reality is, let's talk about the cost of living and the taxes in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
What about a place like Nebraska or somewhere like that? I've always wondered about places like Nebraska, Oklahoma, don't have.
But there's no way
you have to have population. You have to have a population, so it has to be a population center. And I think even Virginia would be hard pressed to be a good market because you got to compete with Baltimore. You got a lot of Ravens fans, and then the Washington football or the Washington Commanders. And they're just their history Titans alone. They're going to be fans regardless of Dan Snyder and all of that.
Yeah.
So I'm with Cody. I think that the only real true markets would be in a place like somewhere in Texas maybe could facilitate it, and maybe 2 teams in dang Las Vegas could possibly happen. But I don't even think that's a great idea. I don't even think because of the tourist culture. I don't know if you have a home market.
And then how could the Panthers still be in the NFC South if they're playing in Vegas?
Oh, they would have, yeah. And again, like you said, have to be
Reshuffle
approved by the ownership and different
Yeah,
things like
there's
that.
so
Yeah,
much
something
that
that
has to
major.
happen.
Yeah, I think it would be tough. I think it would have to be a southern state. I think it would have to be something. I could see maybe in Alabama, and as silly as that sounds, like they are a football. Like you think about Alabama's the university. I mean,
The
They have the
Birmingham
USFL now, don't they?
Panthers.
They have the USFL, Alabama.
Ew,
Or
that
what's
Yeah.
sounds
Yeah, but they also
disgusting.
had the AFL. Did you guys watch any of the USFL?
No, all I saw was the clips of the cool drone camera.
I've heard
angles
a
that they
That
had.
horrible.
that was dope.
I've
Yeah,
heard
and
horrible
dude-
things about the ball, though.
Why
Yeah, what
is it? Why is it that all of these upstart football programs instantly can do so many things? Not the football, but they can instantly do
What was
so
wrong with
many
the
things
football?
better.
The chip?
Apparently, it sucked. It was just dog shit. Like they're not.
They
good.
added, yeah, the chip had added weight that caused it to be unbalanced. Did you hear about the
God,
chip?
how big of a chip is it?
They said 5 ounces, but they said like it was enough to cause the kickers and the quarterbacks to be pissed.
Okay.
Well-
Well, I've been asking for some sort of chip or laser device.
So many people have, and
But,
honestly, if they can, like this is just the beginning. Everything can get smaller, right? At least my wife thinks that. But I think that's a possibility for it to get better. I
Just
think
kitty
this is
pick
just a implementation of it right now. The chip is a phenomenal idea, and I think there's a fear that it's going to take the fun out of the game because it's going to be so like if it's not. But I think that if you can take a lot of the unknowns out of it, that chip makes like a hell of a lot of sense.
Right.
Panthers
Well, I mean,
rule
with
says
the
that
USFL, it's
Tuscaloosa
like
kissing cousin Panthers.
the USFL is like minor league football, and it's like Cleveland says, there's nothing better than watching a bunch of guys I know nothing about not play that well.
Yeah, you know what? I only watched the first 2 drives of the very first game. I had a lot going on over the Easter holiday, and you would think I'd be a little bit closer to a TV, but it just wasn't really available. I root for these things because I like the idea of like developmental type leagues, and I just like football as a sport. So I'm okay with these, and they are like a testing ground. I'm not going to invest a lot of time. It's very hard for them to break through because we're not going to invest a lot in it until
I think something like the XFL can break through because they've already come up with the idea of it being a secondary league to the NFL. The NFL has actually agreed to that this go
They got
round.
a lot more money going in too. XFL.
So yeah, so I think something like the XFL can, but yeah, these one-off leagues, absolutely. I think that it's really tough to get the excitement boiling because you have to worry about like these guys and health insurance and all that stuff. And like when you're talking about a sport like this, it is so difficult to be able to pay for that type of a medical, I guess, attention that these guys require if they get hurt.
Right.
Well, especially with the admission prices, it's $15 for a ticket for an adult,
Right.
and with each ticket you get 3 kids up to 15 years old for free in.
Hell yeah.
That's
Well, you got to get
and
some
all the
people
games are
in
played
there.
in one stadium.
One
So,
stadium.
Yeah, they're all played in Alabama. Every
Really?
game's played in Alabama. Yep.
Like they don't even have home. They just have home names.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
But
saying,
that's
it's really
going to make
weird.
this a little bit harder for me.
Yeah.
But I did like the drone on the kickoff, and I like that they didn't do it every time. But the idea is like, and I was surprised. I wasn't even expecting as the kickoff came, the ball's coming towards the drone. As the ball's in the air, it circles around and gets behind the kick returner and then follows the crowd. So you almost kind of feel like you're running along with the guys. That was pretty cool angle. At least I don't know how much I want to see that stuff and how much it will make it better. But one neat thing that I saw in the USFL. Let's go to the next call, 252-228-5098.
What's going on, C3 Nation? This your boy Jay Anderson. Yell up.
What up, Jay?
I know y'all talked about this last week, and I know you don't want to backtrack on this situation and stuff like that. And what I'm talking about is the whole Cam Newton podcast thing. And I mean, what he said about the whole, what he won in a woman. He won a woman that knows how to cook, knows how to cater to man, be quiet, be quiet, and let a man lead. The thing is, what I like to see this past week was a lot of women that were not on TV that agreed with Cam Newton, which is funny. So it basically puts points a finger at the media how they try to sell how families should be, how to where they mess up the minds of us, especially us millennials. They mess up the minds of women. They mess up the minds of men. Not pushing the narrative of family. And what I'm talking about is, it's nothing wrong with a woman being independent, but when she's get into a relationship with a man, when I say a man, I'm saying a man that knows how to be a man, knows how to protect, knows how to provide and stuff like that. She wants to be with that. She wants to be with that man. And that's what Cam wants. And that's what people like Cam. That's what men we want. We want a woman that knows how to take care of business, but also let us lead the household. That's what we are. That's what a lot of us have been taught, have been raised to do. And women are going to look at that and say, hey, if you don't know how to provide, if you don't know how to protect, if you don't know how to lead, I can't, she's not supposed to be with that dude. We all see some dudes who are just not men. and basically a lot of women want men. And I think the society, and when you got the media, they trying to push, this independent woman, you don't need a man or nothing like that. And that's the wrong thing to push. We can push for equality in the marriage, because you can be a leader of the household and your wife still runs the house. I mean, my pops, he's the leader of the household, but my mom controls the house. If we go on vacation, my pops asking my mom, where you think we should go? Because my pops wanted his family to be happy as well. He got the final say so, but he getting the idea.
Is that the end of the call?
Look, I think there's actually a little bit more.
Yeah, this is Jay Anderson again. But yeah, like I said, it's a tag team thing. Even though the man is the lead, it's a tag team thing with a man and a woman. And I think, every man wants a woman that knows how to cook. Now, the thing is, it's like, I think a lot of women got it confused of, that a man wants a woman to cook every day. No, so you don't have to cook every day. It's like Sunday you cook. Tuesday you can cook. Friday and Saturday we eating out or grilling out or going, having takeout. You don't need to cook every day. You just need to cook smart. Men, we love leftovers. We gonna eat some leftovers and stuff like that. So I think, some people got it confused, and some dudes got it confused too on what a woman's supposed to be and stuff like that. And we got to get that teaching back in. I know this ain't the type of podcast to do this. This ain't the type of podcast to be talking about this. But since Cam Newton, is a former Carolina Panthers and stuff like that, and that situation has been brought up and the media overblown it, I just want to dub on that, man. Holla.
Go ahead, Jay Anderson. Thank you for the call.
Yeah, thanks to Jay. So look, I'm going to, if we're going to talk about women, I'm going to give the floor to our very own, First Lady of C3 Panther Nation, Miss Lynn Leonhardt, who I think gives a very poignant comment. And I'm just going to read it. And again, this is a part of the discussion. Lynn says, I support Cam. However, with all of Cam's talk about this, we are talking about a man who isn't married, has multiple babies from multiple women outside of a marriage. Just saying. And look, my whole thing is this, like, Cam has to know that if he's going to say these things, right, that you are open to the mainstream media, both in sports and otherwise, twisting your words and trying to make them fit a narrative. Now, I think most men will tell you that, wanting a woman who cooks and cleans is not outside of the realm of the norm. A lot of men who want to be in a relationship, especially long term, would like that kind of thing. But to me, this is a mainstream media question, like not question, but topic. It doesn't matter if you're talking about sports or the mainstream media, like in news or whatever else. They are designed to push a narrative on you, and it's easy to tell what these narratives are most of the time. And anytime you can paint someone as like a super chauvinistic kind of guy, for even saying something remotely against women, they're going to take it and run with it. But like I said earlier, though, it's incumbent upon Cam to know that the media is going to take this shit and just run with it. So I don't know, man.
What it really comes down to is that blanket statements have more limitations than they do. They're broad statements, but they're also very limited statements in that. And so there are, for a woman who is the head of the household, kind of, not as in like the head of the family, but a more traditionalist like kind of role when it comes to nurturing the
Takes
kids,
care of the house.
that thing, that doesn't make her less equal than a man, right? That's one thing. Is so is that you don't need to, it's not a knock on women who do that. And just like a woman who doesn't do those things, but maybe sees their role in society in a different light, maybe even in a marriage or in their occupation, they are no less woman than that other role, right? So it's like, is that there is just difference in the world. There's difference in how families work.
Right.
And I think when it comes just down to our discussion of equality, is when you talk about equality, it doesn't mean sameness all the time.
Right.
And if some people that is more pleasing to them personally to be involved in a relationship where those I guess those traditional roles or things like that are more adhered to, if that pleases them, you can still probably do that without being a chauvinist, right? There's ways to lead that type of lifestyle where you are very respectful to people, and but you're also not saying that women can't do the other. Is that you have to, when you make those statements about that, you have to also recognize that other people don't agree with that as well. So just like it wouldn't make me any less of a man to be the homebody taking care of kids if my wife was like Michelle Obama or something like that. Or if you watch the who is the baby God, this is like my favorite, Ali Wong. Ali Wong talks about how her success lets her husband do all the things she really want to do, which is stay home and look at porn and watch TV all day and stuff like that. Is like, that wouldn't make me less of a man. So we just have to know is you probably don't need to go to Cam Newton for the sociological analysis of femininity, right? And things like that. And maybe I don't think he was even intending to say this is all a woman needs to be or can be. And also Cam also speaks. He's trying to say one thing all the time, and he says another thing. When he said cater to a man's need, I think he was trying to say nurturing and caring.
That's what he meant.
And it wasn't like, not like, hey, rub my feet.
Yeah, like
making you. That's what he wanted once in his life. He doesn't need someone to be a breadwinner. He's a millionaire, right? You know what I'm saying? So like, to him, something that would be more appealing. So just don't get your underwear gender neutral in a wad.
Well, and the best part about it is if you don't like the way he thinks, you don't have to date him.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
You don't have to date him. Go find somebody who looks at your values. You don't date him.
Yeah, and then some, or don't have his kid, and that would be another thing. Maybe not even have to date him to have a child with him.
Yeah.
Ugh. That was mean. Let's see what's next. Let's see who we got up here. Let's go to this is Joey, I think. Let's see if what's Joey got to say.
Hey guys, it's Joey, the growl that makes underwear foul. Again. And I just wanted to say that if the Panthers
Perfect timing.
if David Tepper moves the Panthers, I am becoming a New Orleans Saints fan. God, I love New Orleans.
That is
I went to the Superdome to see the Panthers, and the fans were so nice and welcoming. I might just have to join them if David Tepper does that. Anyway, guys, I know this is the only reason you listen to the end of my calls. Wow.
It's not the only reason, Joey. We love to hear your fantastic opinions, but being a Saints fan, that's never that's
that
never
happen.
Okay. Yeah,
Sorry.
that's never.
You can like the city all you want, but you need to. I had I've been trying to pick my USFL team that I was going to cheer for, and I was not. No, I mean, well, you got is that, and I don't want to pick the Panthers because I don't care about the Michigan Panthers, and so I like minor league teams in baseball because they get to have kind of wacky names.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't like these traditional, like the Washington Generals. Nope, they're off the list. I was automatically going after the Gamblers is one of them, I think. And one of the teams is, it's the New Orleans. What is it? Crush, or it's got something to do with a wave, like a hurricane kind of wave, or something, like a flood wave or something, whatever. But I was like, man, I don't even know if I can cheer for a football team that's just in that city. I love New Orleans, like the city. I love to go there. But I'm so anti New Orleans Saints that I don't even know if I can cheer for a team just because the Saints are kind of the smell is kind of on them.
More than half my family is from Louisiana, and I would never fucking cheer for the Saints, dude. Never.
I'm from Louisiana, and I don't cheer for the Saints. So yeah.
The number is 252-228-5098. That's 252-228-5098. Let's go to the next call.
Hey guys, it's me, Connor, calling in for the Tuesday show. And so about what Ben McAdoo said, I mean, I don't know how much I trust him. He's great in evaluating quarterbacks and all that, but I feel who's really in charge? Who's going to be more in charge? Is it going to be Matt Rule? Is it going to be Scott Fitterer? Or is it going to be Ben McAdoo? I think it would be Scott Fitterer. McAdoo is just the offensive coordinator. He just calls plays. I'm not sure how much I trust what he said. And I also heard an article that said that he actually wouldn't back on that. So let me know what you guys think about that. Besides that, Connor.
I think you're right, Connor. Just to recognize is that Ben McAdoo could just be here for 8 months or a year,
right,
in Charlotte and be on to his next place. So to believe that he has that type of front office influence, I think they're just going to do this. Is they're going to lean on Matt, and they're going to consider McAdoo's evaluations because of his past evaluations and advice and experience. So I think they will take it into consideration, but I don't think he's all of a sudden going to be in the war room making the decision.
Right.
No, but I mean, I'll tell you what, though. Tony, I've been saying this for a while. I believe that Matt Rule has lost a lot of his power in this organization. Maybe this is just me being hopeful, but shit, I really do think that when you look at Fitterer and now Ben McAdoo being in there, I would have to imagine that now these two guys are a very strong voice in that front office, especially Fitterer. And I think Fitterer has done a great job up until this point. Not everything has been a hit, but it's his first time as a general manager coming in where he didn't get to pick the head coach. Right. So I think Fitterer has done a good job. I think McAdoo, I'm liking everything that I'm hearing from him so far. And like I said to you earlier, man, I feel better about this draft knowing that Ben McAdoo will be a part of those discussions.
Yeah, especially if we were to pick a quarterback.
Yep.
How about this? Is I'd be more comfortable with Ben McAdoo picking the quarterback than I would be Matt Rule.
Oh, for sure.
100%.
By
That's
the way,
100%.
McAdoo also loved Josh Allen coming out, and
Yeah.
people relentlessly made fun of him
Right.
because he had Josh Allen #1. And I'm telling you, man, the same thing that you're hearing happening right now with Malik Willis. Oh, he's inaccurate. Oh, he didn't face good competition. Oh, he's not ready to play. All these different things were literally copy and paste exactly the same as Josh Allen coming out of Wyoming. Yet Ben McAdoo was able to see the forest through the trees and saw the upside potential of one versus the other. That's what makes me happy that he's in this room.
And Ben McAdoo's statements on, shoot for the stars as well. You know, it's really, it tells you a lot about what they plan on doing with the next guy. They're not going to go, they have tried their hand at the known commodity, right? Or the guy who has, who might be able to be a game manager and get you where, you want the team be the Ryan Tannehill. I think they have tried that. I think Scott Fitterer has seen in Seattle, that's not what it takes to win Super Bowls, right? You don't win with a game manager. You win with a guy who can take you there and consistently perform. Because even if you get there with a game manager, if you don't win, you're not getting back. It's just not going to happen.
It's refreshing to him to hear him say that, one, because it just gives you a voice in the room that isn't scared.
Right.
Two is that it's nice to hear a offensive coordinator who, again, is kind of playing to have a job. To not be like, I want the safe option, because having the better quarterback ready for him would make it easier if it would be for him. So it's just nice to hear. And it's just right. It's just a right evaluation is to say this is you got to pick a guy that you believe can be the dude, because there have been hundreds of blase guys that haven't been awful, but haven't been any good either.
Right.
Yeah.
That are just lifelong backup quarterbacks. And you can go from Blaine Gabbert down the list of guys that, oh, look, we even saw Paxton Lynch in the USFL throwing picks like crazy. Is that like, you have to, there's a lot of guys that can hold the clipboard and occasionally look good, but there are very few guys that are the dude at quarterback. It's hard to find. So you gotta get that. That's why we like Cam, because you got that big out, like that dude that you thought was just the best dude on the field. Whether you believed it was as a quarterback, as an athlete, or anything else. Let's keep going through with these calls. 252-228-5098.
Hey, y'all, it's me again, G Cavassier.
What's up, G?
What up, G?
Happy
My
birthday.
short little take on something, man. Robbie Anderson saying he don't want Baker Mayfield.
Oh,
he don't
man.
want to play with him, this and that. Now, this is my opinion. It's just my opinion. I see him getting traded or something come draft day for some draft capital, maybe a third rounder or something like that. I know he just signed a contract, and I don't know if that shit will stop him from being traded or released or whatever, but see, when I hear shit like that pisses me off, man. I'm just like, keep that shit in-house. Don't say that shit publicly.
Right.
Y'all know what I'm saying? That shit is just,
especially
bad
if
news,
you actually
man.
have to
It
play
really
with that
is
dude.
bad news. Shit reminds me of damn Terrell Owens when he went to the damn Eagles. Y'all remember that shit?
Except
Man,
Terrell Owens was an
it
all-star.
was the damn
Robbie
best
Anderson not.
damn circus, man.
He's a Hall of
I'm not
Famer.
trying to Carolina Panthers be a damn circus show. You know what I'm saying? Please, no. So give me your thoughts on that. And would y'all be against getting Kaepernick? Hey, give me your honest opinion. I know he hasn't
a lot of
played in
good
years.
stuff
Give
in
me
this
your
call.
honest opinion.
I think Robbie Anderson could be a Green Bay Packer.
Yeah, maybe. Look, I definitely think we should get rid of Robbie Anderson. The guy doesn't produce, and all he does is talk. I just don't like Robbie Anderson. If
He needs
actually
some
produced
media
something-
training, because I don't know what's going on.
And as far as Colin Kaepernick goes, no, I don't want him. This guy's already going back on his word from what he was saying 5 years ago. He says, now I'll come back in as a backup and making a minimum contract if you guys will just have me. I guess that settlement running right out. So.
My thing is this, like, he's not in
that podcast.
Who, Robbie or
Kaepernick?
No, I didn't see him. When it comes, but Robbie Anderson, it's like, dude, okay, what, he would prefer Colin Kaepernick overthrow him by 10 yards rather than Sam Darnold? What's the difference? You know what I mean? Like, you're gonna get overthrown or underthrown either way. So I don't necessarily know why you love one over the other.
Wouldn't it be
I
worth
saw
taking
somebody
a flyer
write
on
that
him?
he just wanted to play with a black quarterback?
If yeah, I mean, do you believe that it would be a worth taking him on a minimum contract to at least let him battle for a position on the team? Like,
I mean, dude, at this point, I'm just kind of like, over it. Like,
Right.
you know, look, I've always said I had no problem with this protest. I think that he serves a better purpose as like an advocate for the types of issues that he stands for.
do you think it would be more problematic for his issues to come back to the NFL right now?
I
Do you
don't
think
know.
it would dilute? Do you think it would dilute his position
Like
or
giving in? Like he would have to continue to but like he
or
would have
would
to
it-
kneel every time. If he
Or would
doesn't
it
kneel,
make
you'd
it
be
less
like,
powerful because he's
Like
he's coming
giving
back to
in.
play, and if
So-
if he comes back to play and he's just absolute garbage, well, we're just gonna remember him as a bad quarterback who never played, who protested and caused an uproar, but he was a bad quarterback.
his
So
brand probably is helped by being
not on an NFL team.
ostracized by
Right.
the NFL, where the NFL and the teams look
And-
more like the bad guy.
And I normally hate to talk about this type of shit, but my opinion soured even over the last 2 years on Kaepernick. I don't know if any of you saw his Netflix show, but in
I didn't
the
watch it.
in the first episode, he literally compares players going through the combine to slaves being sold at auction. And it's like, bro, if that's the comparison that you're wanting to make, why the fuck are you still trying to play NFL football? Like,
And there's a big difference. The millions of dollars are being paid to the players, not
They're doing this by
for the
choice.
And by
players.
the way, they're doing it to all the white and Hispanic football players too. So to me, that's what makes him seem like a hypocrite. I have no problem with this dude playing football, but now more and more, keep in mind, I was always on this guy's side before.
Right.
Now more and more, everything that he does seems like it's done just to get his name out there and to keep people talking.
Well,
about
yeah,
it.
he did when he was with Chad Johnson. This was the podcast. It was with Chad Johnson and I don't know if it was Hushmanzad or who, but they were like, he was talking about why a team they did a role play. So Chad Johnson or somebody was not, who was it? It's the other receiver. But anyway, they were like, I'm the GM. You pitch me why I should give you a chance and why you wouldn't be a distraction, why you wouldn't, and they said, and they did bring up, he said, well, what about the cost? Is he like, you're controversial? What are the costs? Or he goes, when I signed my deal with Nike, their brand went up $6 billion in value. And I was like, gosh,
wow.
man, is that true? One, but here's the thing is I don't really I don't like the idea of people, look, you have your own free speech, your own political ideas. I don't like to ostracize people based on their political ideas and things like this. And that was the disservice to at the time, is that it looked like teams just didn't want to touch him because of how A, he was outspoken. Yeah. B, of his actual political beliefs. But now, if you're talking about the Carolina Panthers kicking the tires on Colin Kaepernick, I don't want to kick the tires with Baker Mayfield, Jimmy Garoppolo, anything. I want a guy that represents a future for this team, not a temporary. I don't need a donut tire.
We don't need a gladiator. We need a fucking a leader who's going to get us there constantly, not somebody who's going to die after the first season,
Yeah, I need I don't want a donut tire. I want the 75,000 mile brand new set of tires on this car.
Agreed.
And that gives me confidence going. So, like, even if Colin Kaepernick was better than who's ever on the roster, he ain't gonna. But we're still gonna be sitting here going, should we take a quarterback? Should we?
And you might as well just sign Cam. Cam Newton's younger by 3 years than Colin Kaepernick.
And we love Cam. Everybody, you know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like,
yeah,
he's like, it's
100%.
like exactly. So, all right. Next call.
What's up, C3? Is Noah in the
What's up,
house?
Noah?
Noah.
Now let's get to talking, because a lot of stuff's been going on in the Carolina Panthers organization for the last few days now. I saw that press conference with Ben McAdoo, and I got some few words to say to that meeting. So let's get started with the breaking news. Cleveland and Panthers are in a little deal with trading somebody. Not trading, but getting Carolina trying to get somebody. And that's Baker Mayfield. And honestly, I think Baker Mayfield maybe, just maybe, our next year quarterback. I think if we put him on a 1-year deal, see how that 1-year deal, give him a fresh start, give him out of Cleveland. And Robbie Anderson. Oh, dear Robbie, I hate you. What you said to that man. But it's okay. You know, we you talk about somebody else, but you was barely catching the ball. You getting mad at Sam Darnold and at the end of the yard line because he was killing it. You barely catch it. You dropped it half of the pass, and you don't even get a lot of yards. You're not a top. Hold on, my phone fell. You're not a top tier receiver. You can't be talking about nobody else, but work on your game.
Yes.
Now, if you said something stupid like that again, I'm gonna go ice cold on that man. But you know, let's get to Ben McAdoo. Ben McAdoo. How you gonna say Sam Darnold is our starting QB? How dare you say that? Go put a foot up your mouth.
Up your mouth, dude.
I hate when guys like him say that. Do you know what Sam Darnold did to this organization last year and the year before that?
Not much.
Man, go suck a ball sack for what you just said for that. Yeah. But yeah, you know, I don't understand these people. But keep pounding and we do something. I don't know.
Noah, bring in the heat. Noah's bringing the heat. I disagree with the McAdoo take because I think McAdoo was like, oh, yeah, of course he's the starter. He's the number one on the depth chart. They showed me the depth chart. I said he's the starter, not PJ Walker. But I get what you're saying is that there is some trauma and some PTSD associated with us, this organization, quarterbacks, and Sam Darnold being the most recent shell that has shocked our system. Robbie Anderson. You know, I liked Robbie Anderson and his first year and the antics. What's that bear doing? Right. But he was also 1,000-yard receiver and killing it. The thing about Robbie Anderson is last year's right, Noah, is not only did he not just produce overall for the season, but that first 6-game stretch for Robbie was really, really tough. He was dropping a lot of pass. It might have been the first 9 weeks. It was like as soon as PJ or Cam came in, he started catching or something. But he was stinking. So here's the thing: is you can't be critical of Sam Darnold when you stink too. It'd be like Cam Irvin telling Sam Darnold he got to play better. Sorry, bro. You stink too. All y'all got to be quiet. All of y'all got to be quiet.
Yeah.
And if anything, Baker Mayfield has had more success than really arguably all of them.
Right.
To this
undeniable
point.
I mean,
I guess you could say Robbie has had 2 or 3 he's been a pretty successful wide receiver, but not a starting quarterback. And so Mayfield to me actually is not the worst idea. I just don't think that it's that much better either than Sam Darnold. Is that I just think, again, we're going to kind of be like either we kind of like this dude, or we're disappointed in this dude. We're still looking for the answer. So Noah bringing the heat. Any other comments to that before we move on?
I mean, I think we've kind of all probably talked about this before, but you know, the consensus is if the Panthers go offensive tackle at 6, which is a very good possibility that we might. And by the way, a little preface, I wouldn't believe anything that you hear right now. If you hear the Panthers are taking a quarterback at 6, or we're trading back, or we're drafting OT,
No one knows. No one knows. They don't even know.
It's smoke screen season. Even if they did know, they're being so
Right.
picky and choosy about what they let leak right now, and they often will leak stuff on purpose, right? But with that said, if the Panthers take an offensive tackle at 6, what do we think about them potentially even after the draft going trade for Baker Mayfield? I'm very opposed to this because, and correct me if I'm wrong here, I believe if you were to trade for Baker Mayfield, there's no way you're going to pay him, or there's no way you're going to play him just on that 1-year deal on the 5th-year option. Because then that means between Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield, you're paying $39.5 million between the two of them.
Right.
And you don't have either of them for more than 1 year. My final point on that is, does that mean that if you traded for Baker Mayfield, that you're then going to sign him to a new contract as soon as you trade for him?
Can't do that. You can't do that. I don't think I think a lot of people have said that the only way that Baker Mayfield works is if the team eats some of his salary, right? It's like if somehow in the deal he's not as expensive,
right,
or you either swap him for Sam Darnold, and then it's kind of they're both on their 5th-year option, and they're probably both the exact same price tag, so it's just an even wash. But you're right, is that it would be foolish to hopefully we've learned our lesson with Sam a little bit, is like, don't project goodness. Let's see it first before we start thinking about the future. And that's again why Mayfield just isn't super appealing. And to be honest, he is like, with Robbie doing this, with Mayfield saying he's not really interested in Carolina, or at least implying that, it doesn't look like it's a match made in heaven right now.
It doesn't.
No.
So, all right, next call.
CP, I got one more thing to say too.
The man of the hour.
No, but I don't hate Ben McAdoo. I think he may be one of our better
Same.
Yeah, I agree.
Our coaches.
I'm telling you, man, Noah's on.
But I just didn't like what he said about Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold will never be our coach. Not our coach, our quarterback. It's probably going to be Baker Mayfield. You know, but I actually like that interview. I think he did good answering the question. Keep pounding. I'm out.
Noah, great call again. And I think we just all agree with that, is that it's a fair point to have that. So you're done with Sam Darnold. It really seems like the Panthers have been up until this past week too. They have not been they've been very vocal about adding to that quarterback room, to adding to this and being open to adding it to the draft. And just the ultimate question is are you going to add an offensive lineman like Cody said, and then try to give this year a go either with Sam Darnold or fill in any other veteran type, Jimmy Garoppolo, Minshew, pick the name, whatever it is, or are you going to try to get a rookie? You know, so it's not out of the question. I guess my final question or final point about Mayfield, more of a question, is that if something like that Mayfield was going to happen, and take the money part out of it, Cody, because you're right. Like, now are you signing a contract? When does the trade actually happen? Because I feel like, Cleveland's not getting a lot for him right now.
No.
But what if the draft happens, we get our tackle, and then we're out there trying to shop for a quarterback? I feel like we lose some leverage. Maybe you do it on draft night, right? Like, is that all of a sudden you're at 6 and you just say this is you call up Cleveland and say, hey, do you want something right now?
Let's talk
for Mayfield. And they say, yeah. And they say, here, we'll give you, what's the cheapest? You go, and they say a 4th next year. You go, done. And then you pick a tackle.
Yeah. I mean, dude, listen, dude, this year is going to be crazy, man. This draft, y'all need
it's
to
gonna be
prepare
fun.
yourself.
This is gonna be a fun.
It
top
really
10.
is, and
Yeah.
it's going to be fun for so many different reasons. Not only do we not know what the Panthers are going to do, but we genuinely don't know how the board is going to fall. Last year, for months and months, we knew that Trevor Lawrence was going number 1. We knew Zach Wilson was going number 2. Right now, there's a debate on is Aiden Hutchinson going to go number 1? Is Trayvon Walker going to go number 1? Might Evan Neal or Kim Aquanu sneak up into that position? And all those guys might potentially fall down to us. So,
and not only that too, but each positional group has its own not controversy, but it's unclear. So what if it's Evan Neal, Aquanu, and Cross? Like, there's not a clear consensus of agreement of who the guy is there. Even when you go to quarterback, Pickett, Corral, and Willis, all of those guys are arguably, there could be a case made to pick one above the other. There is not even a clear consensus in a group, let alone all the groups together ahead of us. And then you got the Carolina Panthers website running picks about, like, what is Detroit going to do at 2? This is going to affect what we do. This is it's going to be, it's one of the more intriguing.
One to remember.
Yeah, it's just intriguing because I think there could be 10 ways we could be upset as Panther fans and 10 ways we could be happy, So like, it's like, which offensive lineman, I mean, they could, like, well, all right. And which quarterback? Oh, a trade back. Which players we get in there? I mean, there is a lot of scenarios where you could be happy. There's only what would make you unhappy. And I think it's just like drafting that safety.
Right.
Phil's close up there going, we need another safety. And they get that. What's his name? Kyle.
So every year, and Greg knows this. Last year, me and Greg were all on the Isaiah Simmons train when Isaiah came out, right? Or year before last, rather. And then it's like, then we got Derek Brown, and then a lot of us last year wanted either Justin Fields or Rashawn Slater, and then here comes J.C. Horn. So it's always like, there's always like this, oh, okay, type of, oh, that's who we drafted, type of feel when we draft, And by the way, I think J.C. Horn is going to be a lockdown corner in the NFL.
Right.
But I don't know, man. And then you're right, Tony. Even with the offensive tackles, like, so I just finished my top 50 big board. I haven't shown it to anyone yet. I'm still kind of working on it, but I do have my top 50, and I have Kim Aquanu ranked as my number 1 offensive lineman in this draft, even over Evan Neal, just because of that same thing that we've been talking about with the quarterbacks, and that's traits. I believe Evan Neal has a higher floor right now, and he is a day 1 starter ready to play in the NFL at left tackle. But I believe that Kim Aquanu has the ability to be an absolute freak show mauler by the time you polish him up at left tackle or at guard. So, if he falls to us, then I don't know, maybe this Baker Mayfield thing does start to become real. The last thing I'll say, though, Tony, is that it doesn't shake this narrative that the Panthers shop for their quarterbacks at the bargain bin.
Can I say, too, just touching back on that Baker Mayfield and trading for it part, any team would be stupid to trade for, even if you want to be stupid to trade for him right now. After the draft, his value is going to drop tremendously. Plus, he doesn't have a no trade clause, but he does have a clause that he has to go to a team that he wants. So it doesn't really matter if we wanted him, and if he didn't want to come here, he doesn't have to. But after this year, after this draft, he's going to get cut. because that relationship is not fractured; it's severed. Like it's bad. The relationship
Yeah.
between Baker Mayfield and the Cleveland Browns, he's getting cut.
That's why you
if he
could
doesn't get
call
traded
him
for
on
it.
draft night right at the moment and just say, we're about to pick. We
Just
don't
let
got
him
a
get
problem
cut.
picking a quarterback.
Let him
Yeah,
get cut and pick
that's
him
a
up for
good point.
cheap.
All right, let's go to the next call.
There are two things that fans come to C3 Podcast for every week. The voice that makes them moist and wow.
The growl that makes them howl.
The growl that makes them howl. Love it, man.
Next call.
Hey guys, this is Chuck from Elizabeth City, aka
What's up,
Carolina
Chuck?
Sports
What's
Guy.
up, Chuck?
Just kind of wanted to touch base on this Rock Hill, South Carolina situation. Now, I'm like anybody else. I can get mad at Tepper for hiring Matt Rule. He looked like the shiny gem in the basket, and he was a hot hire. And Matt Rule sold him on some fool's gold. But see, Tepper, no matter how much money he's got, he doesn't know how to coach. He doesn't probably know how to pick a coach. Not yet. So if he stumbles and falls and fails on that, let's hope Federer's a good fit, because the next coach, Federer will have a hand in picking. And then the build can start correctly. Now, I don't want to bring the soccer team into this, but you kind of look at how that's being built, not to say it's right, but it started from scratch. And there's not as much pressure. There's not as many people looking and watching. But I'm going back to the Rock Hill situation, because he might not know how to pick a coach, or if he was the one drafted and pick a player. But one thing David Tepper knows is money. We keep looking at this situation in South Carolina like we're millionaires. And the Rock Hill City Council and a lot of people involved are thinking they know or what's right and what's wrong. They're not looking at it through the eyes of a billionaire.
Right.
I want a facility built and I want it world class. But if Rock Hill reneged on their payments and we're getting all kinds of wind that they didn't do this or didn't do that, or they agreed and the Panthers drug their feet. But if they didn't live up to their end of the bargain, Tepper, when it comes to money, is not going to blink.
No.
And he would rather lose that money that he's already started to prove a point and build this facility somewhere else. When everybody gets worried about him leaving Charlotte, look, he's showing everybody where he puts his money, where his mouth is. And if there's one thing he does know, it's how to spend money and when to spend money. Might not know how to pick a coach, but he knows all about the world of finance, business, and when to make a deal. And I'm not on the side on this, but I think the state of South Carolina and the city of Rock Hill overstepped their boundaries in dealing with a
They
man
did.
they thought
They
once
made a
they
mistake.
started that they were going to kind of get their way and push and squeeze. And I think the pandemic had a lot to do with it too. But David Tepper showed them.
So the thing with David Tepper
is
is,
to play with when it comes to stuff like
I think Kevin was the one that said that he does own the land, right? So if he owns that land, like he can just hold on to it. He don't need to cash anytime soon. He can just bulldoze that sucker in 10 years, sell it. But the other way is that if we're talking about moving the team, it's probably not moving the team. It's like this is could be a part power play against Charlotte too. Like you want a stadium, and when I say I want you to help fund it, I mean it. And when you don't, then we're gonna have some issue. Like I'm ready to go to the mattresses over this.
Yeah, I've heard that thought as well. Is like it's the long play for him, like, you know, to show not only just him but anybody else who does business with him. Like, listen, these are the terms. There's not going to be a renegotiation in the middle of it,
right?
And you know, I was heavily, and I'll be the first to say it, I was heavily against David Tepper on this. And you know, the more you think about it, the more it is like you think about how the state senators, you know, was saying what he said about, like, it's all very sleazy, right? And I agree they came backed out. And yes, I think in you know, like he's saying, I think that the COVID probably has something to do with it. I don't think any party entered into this with the intention of it ending here, because their Panthers have lost a shit ton of money. I can tell you Rock Hill is probably going to be in the hole, especially with the amount of money that they're going to be.
I know he might
for.
like litigate.
Oh, he
I
is.
mean,
He'll 100% do it. But I think that there's no doubt about that, especially when you think about how much money he's already got invested for no return whatsoever. That's a big loss, and I don't think David Tepper is big on taking those losses. So I'm becoming more and more pro Tepper on the part of it, because I just don't know what's going on behind the scenes. And when you have politicians coming out and making statements like that, there's clearly an effort for them to try to get out in front of something to make themselves look better. And
yeah, I mean, they're trying to sway public opinion on
right.
that. That's all that. I think you put it right, though, is I don't think that anybody entered into the agreement. I don't think Tepper entered into this saying, man, I'm going to use Rock Hill as a power play against Charlotte. But I think as he's sitting here looking at Rock Hill, and he's going, man, if I do budge on this, what signals does that send to Charlotte City Council or whatever it is, as well as the state of North Carolina? And when we go into negotiations about a new stadium, hopefully, is that's going to show that maybe they're going to push hard, give them a little bluster,
right?
Or ability. Now they're sitting there going, shoot, should we mess with this guy? How hard should we lowball this guy? Maybe we should just come at it straight. The number's 252-228-5098.
Hey guys, it's Chuck from Elizabeth City, aka Carolina Sports Guy. You guys are killing me with these moving to team. Now I can see Orlando, Florida, because of the fact that Tepper has lived in Florida, tax-free, football hungry, kind of like Austin. But when you start pulling out places like Nebraska,
I was just thinking places with good college teams.
And
That's all I was
Virginia,
thinking.
listen,
Right there.
I live in Carolina, but I live close enough and work in Virginia, guys. I'm telling you, the demographics do not work.
Yeah, I
They
agree.
will not come out. They don't have the money, the disposable income. Go back 40 years ago, people, 40, 50 years ago, when the NFL looked at Tampa Bay and Seattle's expansion teams, and Memphis was considered and came very close. Nashville wasn't heard of. The problem with Memphis, just like Birmingham and some of these cities now, they don't have the disposable income. They don't have the demographics. It's the same problem with Virginia.
Charlotte's is a market
Nashville
right now. It would be silly to leave it.
Charlotte and Raleigh, especially Charlotte, they have disposable income. The demographics are right.
I agree.
It's an attractive market here in the Carolinas. It doesn't make any sense to me. I think people are freaking out over this. It's time to pump the brakes.
Well, I think we just had trying to field the idea of how far Tepper would go and like what would be the most radical scenario. And there have been, I mean, look, you saw teams move to Las Vegas. You have heard about of teams either moving or expansion to San Antonio, Austin, that area. It's just, you're right though, is the leaving Charlotte part would be the ridiculous part of it. Not going to Austin. You can make an argument for why a football team could work in those markets.
Right.
But imagine if a team left Charlotte. Wouldn't that be like, man, wouldn't you want to be like P. Diddy saying, hey, we want to put a team back in Charlotte because the market can handle it. I think it can. I mean, you're right. Raleigh-Durham area is growing big, but I don't even know if it's big enough to completely handle it. But
I would put Raleigh out in the conversation for a practice facility. I think
it's too far away. I feel like.
But dude, there's a bunch of other teams that go out of state for training camp. Hell, the Cowboys, the Cowboys go to Los
but a
Angeles
practice facility would be like
camp.
where they hold their daily practices, right?
Like they would want to live within the vicinity of the practice facility and probably the stadium as well. Like that's why Rock Hill is not. It's like a hop, skip, and a jump away from Charlotte, right?
Yeah,
it's not like this.
Yeah.
But training camp's a completely different story. Like the Saints have traveled up to West Virginia for training camp. Like that's an understandable difference. Get everybody away from the distractions of being close to home, all that stuff, and have them focus solely on football. That almost makes sense to a degree. Whereas having a practice or a headquarters for your team, because that's what it would be. It's not just a practice facility. It is a legitimate headquarters for the Carolina Panthers. And to have that be more than even more than an hour away from the actual stadium just seems a bit more of a problem, not just for the organization, but for the players and the coaches as well.
I wish they would move to Raleigh. I wish they put any of this. Somebody said pro baseball team. I go to Hurricanes games a lot. It's an hour and 20 minutes door to door from my house. Football games are so exhausting for me to go to.
Yeah,
it's a
so
it's a little over, it's a 4.5 hour drive.
And it's Sundays. So
yeah,
it's not like you have a night to be able to relax after that. You like get up and go to work the next day.
It's such a long day. It's impossible. Sometimes I've done it where you've driven that morning and then you go home, and that's the worst. I usually go on Saturday and then go to the game and then come home after the game. And you get home at 11:30, 12, and you walk out the stadium. You're trying, and that's with you running out of the stadium trying to just get in your car and go.
Right. Have you ever thought about moving to Charlotte?
Not like there's no reason to, man. Both my parents live here in town, and I got a job here. Like it would just be
dude,
like.
Let me tell you, Charlotte is so fucking ridiculously expensive now, dude. Yeah. Like I honestly, like I'm in Charlotte for now. I don't know how many more years I'll be in here, just because like I'm telling you, everything. Like Charlotte is one giant leased area for new apartments. Like everywhere you look, there's a new apartment complex shooting up. You know, it's like
those apartments cost ridiculous amounts of money.
Oh, dude! And so
well, you know what? And if it's happening in a little town or a little city like Greenville, where these things we finally have gotten here the housing boom that Charlotte and Raleigh is used to, right? Over the last few years, is like our houses used to just go up 2-3% every year, just steady, never went down. But never this like, oh man, our house went up 15% last year.
Yeah.
So now we're feeling that. So if we're feeling that, Charlotte and Raleigh are like tripling at this point.
Dude,
so we bought our house 2 years ago, and our house and value has gone up by 20% in just the 2 years since we purchased it.
Shout out to Grid. He says I have a place nearby you, and shout out to our boy Daniel. Another run into another person. He goes, "Hey, aren't you the host of the C3 Panthers podcast?" I'm like, yeah, it's nice.
Dude, I have a story for you. There's this place by me, and if you're listening, brother, shout out to you. There's this pizza place by me called Mr. Jim's Pizza. One day I order a pizza. I get the meat pizza, whatever they have there. And so, hey, man, I got to ask you a weird question. Are you on the C3 Panthers podcast? I'm like, yeah, man, I am. He's like, man, I'll listen to you all the time, dude.
Just from the voice? Just from your voice?
Yeah, from my voice.
That's
you
awesome.
Recognize me from the podcast, dude. That's
dope. That is really cool.
I was not prepared. So shout out to you, man. He works at Mr. Jim's Pizza. I wish I remembered your name, but that's definitely cool, man.
All right, next call.
Hey guys, Chuck
Chuck
from
again.
Elizabeth City, aka Carolina Sports Guy. I'll call him one last time. Kind of want to talk about the draft. Guys, I think we definitely have to take offensive line, left tackle, get us a center to draft. Any other position addressing this draft, let's make it a safety or depth at defensive line, or get a linebacker with one of these picks. Just take a gamble on one maybe late in the draft. Leave the quarterback alone. I got this novel concept here. Kind of get it from when you watch college basketball, NBA games at halftime, when they bring the fan out for $1 million shot of making a half-court shot. We'll address every position but quarterback on this team. And every week the Panthers will pick one lucky fan out of the stands for one series and let them throw the ball or hand it off. There's Billy from Rock Hill. He's back to pass. Oh, no. A 3-yard pass and it's picked off. It would be fun. That's the concept I've got, because I just don't have any faith in us getting a quarterback right now.
Well, they have mentioned, Scott Fitter did mention that there is a game plan of building a team and having it ready for the quarterback when you find the quarterback. So let's just say this is picking an offensive lineman, no problem with it. It better be a tackle at 6. If you trade back and get that center, I'd still be you better get something else good in a trade back.
Right.
I don't care what people
at least
say
second
about
back.
that center. I don't care about what they say about how good that center is. We just went out and got a free agent center. He's not going to really contribute this year. We need a guy. We would love to have a guy that's going to be a difference maker on day one in this draft. And a tackle would arguably do that.
Yep.
A quarterback would establish the hope to potentially do it. Anything else, though, I'm gonna be upset. Imagine if we like traded back and we got a safety and like a linebacker. I mean, I guess it wouldn't be the worst. The linebacker, if you've got a dope ass linebacker, you got like the next Luke Kuechly.
The real thing is that the Panthers, all of its fans for the past however many years now, have been shouting at the top of their lungs for 2 positions.
Yeah, let's not make it too complicated.
2 positions, only 2 of them. It's a quarterback and it's a tackle.
And a close third is linebacker.
Yeah, but it's like, dude, if you can't hit on one of those and you don't even try to, after your offensive line and quarterback room has been so bad the past few years, everyone should be fired on the spot if it's not a quarterback or a tackle or a lineman. It doesn't even have to be a tackle. It could be like a badass guard like Zion Johnson or a center like Tyler Linderbaum. That would be great too, you know, but it has to be one of those 2 positions.
All right. You're listening to the C3 Panthers podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. We also, those are all the calls for right now, but we got one last kind of topic to discuss in the news. They were asked Phil Snow. How about the one thing is reporters asking questions to guys that they know they won't answer. Like Ben McAdoo, they ask him about the draft, and he says, like, man, talk to me after the draft. I'll tell you what I think about that. But that's fine. Like, I feel like some of these are poking and prodding questions. Like, you got to ask them, even if they don't answer them.
Right.
And that tells us something. You have to do at least. It would be a travesty to not ask the most glaring question. But to the guy who asked Phil Snow about the practice facility today, what kind of dumb question? What is Phil Snow going to be like? Yeah, well, like I've been in touch with the South Carolina legislature, and it really seems like they screwed us over. Like, it just was like the weirdest ask to Phil Snow out of all people. I mean, to Matt Rule, you could have said, "Oh, what do you think about the?" Like, what if Phil's like, "Yeah, man, I'm really disappointed. I was looking forward to us practicing there in 2 years." Like, what? I mean, like, silly. So, but here he was asked about some of the new faces on this defense, and this is the recent news, and this is the time of year after the draft. You get the OTAs, you're going to get these little moments, like they had a couple of days of practice where you saw Dante Jackson putting the weight on the rack, you saw Robbie Anderson doing his dancing in the locker room, and then you had the typical people like, you should be studying, no smiling. They come up there
smiling, bro.
But this is the time of year where no news is good news, because usually news is either people getting hurt training, you don't want any injuries in the offseason, and you don't want any arrests. Panthers newly acquired linebacker Damian Wilson was arrested after allegedly threatening to kill his ex-girlfriend, and part of the story goes Wilson's ex-girlfriend said that she broke up with him, and then Wilson showed up at her apartment and threatened to kill her with a tire iron, per report. She also said, this is my favorite part of the story, she also said that Wilson took her laptop and put it in a blanket and then smashed it on the ground, but said it was her cat. So he tried to scare her by when I was reading this, I was already forming opinions as I'm reading it. And so I'm like, why would you take somebody's laptop, put it in something soft, and then go about smashing it? Like, I don't want to get glass anywhere. And then I read the next line. He's like, and I'm going to kill your fucking cat. Bam! And you're like, Oh my God!
Just,
you killed the
what do
cat.
you-
It's like a Boondock Saints. Do you remember?
What do you
when he
think
slams
she's
the thing in the
hearing? Like,
cat?
she's hearing this crunch and she's thinking she's just smashing the skull, like, and that's what she's hearing. She's like, I'm just like, oh my God.
That's great.
So wait a minute. Did she think it was her laptop or her fucking cat?
No, he tried to play. And from this report, it's like he put her laptop in a bag or in the blanket and didn't tell her it was the laptop, and was like, I'm gonna kill and I'll just smash your cat on the ground like I'm gonna smash you, and then goes to smash it, and it turns out he
he was the one that said the cat is in the bag,
right?
But
Yeah,
it was her laptop.
Yeah, like he was trying to
yeah.
scare her, and then it turned out that he actually did pick up the cat, and he thought it was the laptop, and now we got a deck. No, I think of Boondock Saints, man, one of the best scenes. He's like that the funny man is just going crazy, and he smashes his hands on the table, and there's a gun on the table, and it goes off, and the cat is right beside it, and just blows this cat to smithereens. His girlfriend's cat. Have you guys not seen that?
Yeah, it's been so.
Oh yeah,
long,
yeah, it's
though.
been a long time.
Boondock Saints, like
It's
one
been
of
a
my top
very
movies.
long
Loved it. I
time.
just watched it
Good one.
recently.
Yeah.
So this is not the first time. I actually saw another story.
Yeah.
In 2017, he was not charged. He wasn't ever indicted, but supposedly backed in. The story I read said backed into a lady with his car. So I don't know if she was in the car, in another car, or if he hit her with the car. Which, by the way, he tried to run this girl over too, supposedly. And then he brandished a rifle or a gun. And then the next line was, but he wasn't indicted. And I was like, gosh, so everybody saw him hit this lady with a car, point a gun at her, and then he doesn't get charged. That's crazy.
Oh, so did you hear the other shit connected? Like so dude, like this guy seems like he has real, like legit problems. So he was accused of damaging her patio, destroying her laptop, trying to run her over with his car, and choking her friend. Panther spokesperson says the team is aware of the situation, but will not have a comment at this time, as it's a pending legal matter. Wilson's attorney denied the allegations. Wilson was also arrested on assault charges in Texas in 2017 after being accused of hitting a woman with his truck following an argument over a parking space. Wilson was accused of brandishing a gun during the argument. A grand jury did not indict him. So, man, it's like, didn't we just get rid of a linebacker last year because they didn't fit the culture? And it's like
They
now
didn't get a vaccine. They didn't get a vaccine.
Didn't
That's
get a
why.
vaccine. He got a speeding ticket, and now we're getting a guy who gets speeding tickets for using this car to hit women, dude. It's like, all right.
I saw this in this supposed report said that he tried to run her over with the car, like you said. It's like, or threaten her with a tire. Like, when is this isn't there a difference between, like, that's like attempted murder,
right?
Like, or
with a deadly
assault.
weapon.
Yeah, like, I mean, so don't do this, folks. I like the laptop cat switcheroo though. I'm okay with that part. It's like the cat switcheroo, like, oh, I just smashed your cat to smithereens too over there. I'm okay with that. But the trying to run over people with your car.
Right.
Now, if he would have really smashed the cat, I wouldn't have been cool with that. You know what I'm saying? But like, that is somewhat inventive. The sleight of hand.
It's that manipulation, man. That's a real manipulation.
And her name was like Sablowski. So I'm just interested to see like what her origins are. Is that like
the cat
Eastern
or the girlfriend?
European? No, the girlfriend. It was Persian. The cat was Persian.
Okay, cool.
All right. Well, to me, I think that about covers it, folks. When it comes to the show, we still got to do some ice up picks, but we've gotten through all the McAdoo talk and the Phil Snow talk, which like CK said, thank you for that, or it would have been a desert tonight.
Right.
Somehow with all of that, we're able to go almost 3 hours again. The calls were great tonight. Noah brought it. Happy birthday, G. And now I guess it's Yeah, the
Chuck
Young Bucks
Elizabeth
are
City.
taking over the streets, man.
Oh yeah.
Damian Lewis scared us all for a second. Turned out it was just a laptop, and now it's time to ice some fools up. This is the longest running segment of the show where we tell someone our homage to Steve Smith. Oh no, I got one thing we got to do last. So I went on the radio station this past Friday, and my friend Clip, he said, I did this fun exercise during the rain delay. He was calling the game, and he was on Twitter, and they were just kind of trying to keep things going. And he said this is name one person on your team, and he altered the question for me for the Panthers. Who is your all-time Panther that you would have fight your worst enemy?
Mm-hmm.
Who is the all-time Panther that you would have marry your daughter or your sister? So your son-in-law. And then the last one, this one was a fun one, is who is your all-time Panther that you would have for a roommate, you would want for a roommate for a year?
Oh, I feel like this is easy.
The first one's easy. Like there's only like 2 or 3 answers.
I'll let Greg and CK go first.
All right. Give me the first category again.
Fight like your worst enemy. Yeah, like who would you want to go into a bar fight with you? It's Steve Smith.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. I was trying to think of one of the bigger guys though.
Julius, some people said Julius Peppers, but I don't think he's mean enough. Like I don't think he's like mean enough natured. I
Steve
think
Smith's got to be it. Yeah,
I think Greg Hardy would be an option.
I would take Thomas Davis too.
Just kind of tough guy.
I think that's pretty tough. He'd have my back.
Okay.
Who is it?
He's not my answer, but I feel like an underrated one for helping you in the bar fight would be Luke Kuechly.
No.
Because remember, like everyone thinks he's the nice guy, and yeah, you'd want him to marry your daughter or sister or whatever. But remember, on the football field, Luke would flip that switch and go fucking crazy. So I kind of think maybe he would be good there. But
Greg Hardy would have the cocaine and the guns.
I'm
and
changing
he's got
mine.
some MMA.
Yeah, I'm changing mine to Ray Caruth.
Oh, no, don't do that one.
You and Damian Lewis. Damian Lewis was smashing.
I'm saying
it wouldn't be a cat in the back. I think there is one. I got one other name that's kind of a surprise, not a surprise name, but I think Big Money Charles Johnson would probably be a good fighter.
Yeah.
Like that's just a mean honking dude from Georgia that will bust your ass. All right, next one is who would you want to marry your sister or your daughter? Like who would you want to be in your family and taking care of somebody that you loved?
Christian McCaffrey.
Okay. That's what my wife said. Is she goes, I hope it's Christian McCaffrey.
Greg Olson.
I would.
Okay,
Yeah.
third leg, Greg.
I would say Jeremy Chinn. Jeremy Chinn, sister, daughter. That would be a good one. And by the way, I want to be the first to comment on who my roommate. Would
Kevin. That's who my buddy said. He says Jake Delhomme would be a good one.
be. Yep. Graham Gano is another good one too, even though Tony can't
don't
stand
like
him.
him.
The person that I would room with, mine's between 2 people, and they're both corners. It's either between Josh Norman or Dante Jackson.
Ooh, that's a good one. Those are both real good ones. Those are
because
both.
you'd have such a good time.
Yeah,
man.
they
Like,
would be fun. They're
Yeah.
good. They're good. Like go easy, fun loving dudes. My answer for Mary and my daughter would be Jordan Gross. Not only is he healthy now, but he has a farm. He's very funny. He's got he would be a good addition. The only bad thing was my daughter's and that last name would be Gross, but I would just be like, hey, every time you guys get in bed, it's gross, so don't do it. Don't be gross. Don't be gross.
Fair
enough. Josh Norman's a good one. I think Dante's cool. I put Cam. I feel like I just like Cam so much. But my friend said this is how you gonna have a conversation with Cam for a whole year. And then this is the best one. This is the best one. Who would you be most scared to live with? That was what my altered question was. It was like, imagine Steve Smith being your roommate. You would just be living in terror the whole time. Like, who ate my cheese nips? Oh shit! Oh god!
You know who would be the best though? Like, do you talk about who has the most fun in any Panther social media like videos or anything? It's always special teams guys.
Oh yeah,
you know. So JJ Jansen would probably be mine.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
I honestly was gonna say I think somebody fun to room with would be Mike Tolbert. I feel like he'd be a really fun guy to be around.
Yeah.
His mom don't like me.
Another underrated name is Jonathan Stewart. I think he'd probably be cool to hang out.
I think he would be so nice. It'd be like he would always have a nice apartment. He would always do the dishes.
Exactly.
He would always
Super
respect
friendly.
your shit.
Yeah.
He would pay his bills on time.
Yeah. super
D'Angelo Williams at one point would have been a good answer, and then you got to know him and you don't like him. I think they got to be fun, but they also have to be reasonable. So, like, if you somebody
Brian
put,
Khalil.
yeah,
that's
Brian,
what I was
he's a
gonna
movie
think of
buff.
too.
Yeah,
but I don't like his
movie-
brother. Like, it would be awkward every time his brother came over. I'd be like, man,
Have
get
you
this
always
dog
liked all
outta
the?
here.
Hey, have you?
You
always
better
liked
bring
all-
some beer, right, Matt? You better
Have
bring
you
all the
always
beer.
liked all of your friends' brothers? I know I sure as shit have.
I know, but if I gotta pick him, and somebody said Robbie Anderson, but imagine like that would be cool for like one day, and then you would be like,
Yeah, you
dude,
just get tired
I
of that
can't
shit
talk to
after
you anymore.
I mean, he
Like,
seems cool,
like my head hurts by this conversation.
but he doesn't.
I'm
seem
trying
like
to
personable, really. Like I don't know the
Yeah,
dude, so it's like
I agree.
it's hard to tell. But
all right,
He has
fun
more of a personality on
exercise.
social media than in reality, it seems.
Fun exercise. All right, let's ice some fools up, guys. This is our homage to Steve Smith, the guy you want in a bar fight, the guy you might not want as a roommate. Got to put a dang deadbolt on your door because you're sleeping in terror. What are you doing in there? Why's the door locked? Oh no, Steve's mad again. Steve's mad again. So what are you guys? Anybody got an ice up pick for me tonight?
someone go first. I'm trying to make sure I got all the.
I can go real quick.
Yeah.
Mine's simple. I don't really know who exactly to ice up in this situation, either the parties involved or the administration. So there's the White House Easter celebration thing they do, right? And there's a video that I've seen of Joe Biden who's talking to reporters and people that are there, and as he's being asked questions about policy and different things that a president should be able to answer, the Easter Bunny is sent to him to rescue him. And basically the Easter Bunny controlled our president and directed him where to go. And like a man in the early stages of dementia, he followed him and kind of stumbled away from everything as he was being asked questions that a president should be able to answer. So I want to show this. I don't know if y'all seen this video or not, but I have the video if you want to see it. It's pretty funny. The Easter Bunny just kind of comes, and it almost seems like he doesn't even realize he's there. He kind of has to wave right in front of him, and then he kind of takes his hand and walks him away. And I'm just wondering why. First of all, who is the Easter Bunny?
I've got the video right here. You
Like-
want me to play it?
Yeah, go ahead and play it. Like who's in the suit? Like who was the person that was in the? Why would the administration not send an?
There's
actual
like
person
two
to the
different
administration?
angles.
Look, hey, I'm here. Come with me. like, and then he just kind of wanders off.
He's like, "Thanks for saving me, Easter Bunny."
Where am I going?
Oh, dude, the worst one. I saw this the other day too. Joe Biden was at a panel giving some speech, and he quits the speech and turns to his right and goes to shake someone's hand, and there's no one there.
There's no one there.
I
And
actually
he-
have that
and
video if
dude,
you want to see it.
He looks
and dude,
really old.
He
I have that
looks
video. Really
around.
old.
I can't believe America votes for the people.
Or when he walked in, there's one where he walked into a room and he's like, "Where am I at? What am I supposed to be doing here?" Here's the thing about the Easter Bunny, though, Greg. I saw a picture of somebody put up these Easter bunnies from like 1950 and 1960 that kids went and sat in their lap, and they were so terrifying looking. So Joe Biden is just like, man, the Easter Bunny of my day was terrifying. This bunny, I'll roll with this one.
That's true.
So ice up, old Sleepy Joe.
Yep.
CK, you got one for us?
I'm just gonna. My son has just started t-ball, and I'm God bless his soul, he is not good. Like, and I know he's just started, but when you look at him compared to the other guys, it's just undeniable how bad he is. And like, I try. He has the worst attention span of any child I've ever met. Like, I will be telling him not to do something, and he immediately goes back to it the moment he gets an opportunity. But anyway, he was up to bat, and it's t-ball, so the ball's not moving. But the thing that we were running into is he was up there, and every time he goes to bat, and they were doing 10 bats in a row, every time he had to basically reteach him how to swing the bat. And like I said, I can understand it's some of his first. This has been every practice for like a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, somewhere in that ballpark. And so he's being taught, swing the bat, do it this way. Well, he decides to act like the bat is a pool stick and like hit the ball off the just hit it with the end of the bat and just like. And I'm just like, I'm over there. I'm that dad, just like, Blake, no, Blake. I'm just yelling, like,
Sounds
no,
like
dude.
you need to buy a t-ball kit off of Amazon.
I've got one, and he just does not enjoy it. He does not. He hates it. And so now he's really into soccer. I'm hoping that's an avenue. He's always wanted to talk about doing. I was like, do you want to play t-ball before he even? He's like, no, I want to play football. I'm like, oh God, okay. And so we'll see. But like right now, I just got to ice him up because it is. I'll ask myself up more so than anything because like I'm that dad that's just constantly like, Blake, pay attention, get your hands out the dirt. He goes to third base. He gets a bunch of dirt in his hands. He's out there by himself at on third base, and he's just like, dirt pies. I got dirt pies, and he's just yelling that to everybody. I'm just like, oh God.
Best story about that I coached this kids the same type of league. It was I don't even know if it was t-ball. Yeah, it probably was. One time this kid on first got on first base, and then he took his helmet off and turned it around backwards and ran blind to second base when they hit the ball. And he was like, he couldn't see. That one was a fun one. And another one was, it was so hot one day. It was like a bazillion degrees, and it was like in July. And this one kid just says, fuck it, man, I'm going to get some water. And he walks off the field, and all the other kids look at him and like, we're gonna go get some water. And the whole team just walked off the field. We're like, all right, time out.
That kid's a real leader, man. He's got gumption. I like that. And so this was the video of Joe Biden
with the hand.
And then watch, he's like, okay, he's looking, puts his hand up.
And he turns it over behind him too. Look,
no one
look.
there, dude.
Maybe they were supposed to be. Nah, he's like, nope.
Dude, the only reason why you would ever laugh at this is because this man is our president, y'all. Like, under no, dude, if you ever saw something like this, you'd be like, oh, poor old man. Like,
My
look at that
gosh.
guy. That's our president, y'all. He doesn't know where the fuck he's at, dude.
So
terrible.
And this isn't even political. Like, no one's even talking Democrat, Republican here, dude. That guy just doesn't have his brain anymore, dude.
And it looked like he was really like, it wasn't like there. He just looked and expected somebody to be there. It was almost like, well, I'm going to shake your hand anyway.
And then he turns he turns behind him and does the same thing.
He's like, man, you guys, you missed your cue. You're supposed to be here already.
Oh man, and he's told Obama he's running again. I'm just like, he is not. If the Democrats let him get the nomination,
He's going to die in office.
The Democrats are a lost cause, dude. And that doesn't matter what your political affiliation is. They're a lost cause.
That
but
is
anyway,
so funny. All right, what's your ice up?
to my actual ice up pick. So I saw this trending on Twitter, and like I didn't really like understand what it was at first. So then I look it up, and I'll show it to you, right? So there's this listing for this house that was on Zillow, and it's a $420 house. Nice house, right? It's got some land, there's some signs. Oh man, nice little open area, a welcome wreath, nice kitchen, appliances, good stuff, right?
It's like a
Then,
magazine.
a nice big master bedroom. But wait a minute, what does that sign say right there? It says welcome to Pound Town. Dude, so this isn't the actual.
Why are you icing them up? You should be.
Dude, this is.
He's icing up the photographers at this point.
Dude, if you're gonna show a house, you're gonna put that sign on the wall, dude.
It's probably added 10,000 to the value, honestly.
Dude. And then they just keep on like, oh yeah, here's a bunch of other pictures and shit. Dude,
It's because it looks so classy. It looks so nice.
yeah, dude, it says welcome to Pound Town, dude. That was
awesome.
It was trending on Twitter yesterday. So I'm like, dude, what? I just saw Pound Town trending on Twitter. I'm like, dude, what the hell is this about, man?
Oh gosh. Ice up and thank you,
ice
folks.
up, yeah, ice up to whoever put that sign above their bed. I also have an honorary ice up. The guy who played Flash, Urza Miller.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, was arrested for throwing a chair, second-degree assault, throwing a chair at someone, and it was like the second time that he's been arrested in 4 weeks. It's the guy that plays Flash in all the DC movies. Apparently, this dude's like going off the deep end, having a breakdown. Or something.
Oh, he's been going off.
Try to run away
It's
afterward.
happened a number of times too with fans. Like he's gone off on fans and assaulted fans. Like it's just in the past few years, it's happened a bunch. So this is not really anything new, but it's gotta stop.
Oh, it's
It'd be,
definitely the end.
great if he tried to run away on foot after that.
Dude, it sounds
I
like
get it,
he
man.
needs to go to Pound Town for a little while.
All right, so my ice up pick goes to. Hold on, I thought I had it paused. Okay. This is Republican legislator, and I don't care about your affiliation. This is a politician. Who cares what party they're from? In my opinion, I don't care. This is a politician in Tennessee, I guess in the state legislature.
Speaker, I haven't given you all the history lesson.
Can you hear that?
In a while, and I
Yeah.
want to give you a little history on homelessness. 1910, Hitler decided to live on the streets for a while. So for 2 years, Hitler lived on the streets and practiced his oratory and his body language and how to connect with us, and then went on to lead a life that got him in the history book. So a lot of these people, it's not a dead end. They can come out of these homeless camps and have a productive life. Or
Dude,
just
what?
a very unproductive life.
So
If
this
Hitler
Repub-
can do it, you can too.
Yeah. My man said this is I just thought this is that he goes he wakes up that morning, they're having their staff meeting, and he's like, man, I really want to speak on the American dream of overcoming adversity, upward mobility, and success, and even address the problem of homelessness, and to give these people positive encouragement that there is an opportunity for them to have a future. And then the aide goes, oh man, okay. So he said, we need to find somebody in all of our history that represents this. And there you go, well, what about Herbert Hoover? I mean, he was orphaned at age 9, self-made millionaire, public servant, president. I don't think people know Herbert Hoover. How about a more household name like Hitler? Like, what the hell? Like, this is Joe Biden giving the handshake. Just take the microphone away from these fools. At some point, let's stop electing these people.
Look, there's an age limit to get into Congress. There should be a cap.
Yes.
There should be
And
a
there
cap.
should be,
I'm sorry.
and there should be term limits. Like these
Yes.
people that have been serving since they were
100%.
20 years old and they're 85 now. Like, what are you doing, dude? Go to Florida like the rest of the 80-year-olds out there. But the fact that he was like, "Oh, Hitler," that's a good comparison.
Great, great one. I mean, that guy made it in the history books. I mean, he was a homeless artist, and then he motivated. He tried for world domination. He strove for world domination.
I guess it wasn't wrong.
So, I mean, he must be anti-Semitic. I say ice up to that. And this is, I guess it just goes to show you it's hard. There's certain jokes that just are hard to sell. Right. It like takes a real special delivery in person to do it. Hitler jokes, race, I think another one would be rape jokes are kind of hard to sell. Yeah. I have seen one good one though, and it was Dave Chappelle where he had the rapey superhero where he gets but that's the only one. And Dave Chappelle could just make almost anything funny. Yeah. But these are certain things. Hitler jokes just don't. Hitler analogies, unless you're just demonizing them, this is not good. It's not good look.
Right.
Hard work. So ice up. That's the C3 Panthers podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. You can support the show by subscribing, smashing the thumbs up button, calling in at 252-228-5098. Don't forget, go to the Discord. You can find the link in the show notes and join the C3 Panthers podcast Discord. Submit your draft, your top 10. If you refuse to do the Discord, you can tag me on Twitter, but you got to use the hashtag C3 Draft Party. If you don't use that hashtag, I won't take the entry. Put them in picks 1 through 10. We'll have a point system. We'll give away some fun prizes on draft night. And show on Tuesday. We'll repump that out. Then the draft party on Thursday. And then some real things to talk about other than speculation. Cody Lashney, thank you for your time and joining me. Fun as always. Tell them how they can get after you.
Yeah, man. Find me on Twitter at Cody Lack, CODYLAC. I've been saying it. I wonder how many people actually check it out. But look at drafttech.com, man. I'm doing a lot of work over there for Draft Tech, writing for the Carolina Panthers. Check me out. And then every Friday at 7 p.m., we do the Friday free-for-all where you can join the show just like we're doing right now, sitting here talking about the Carolina Panthers. I'll post the link for people to come in, join the stream. It's always a good time. And yeah, man, this draft is going to be upon us very soon, man. Be on the lookout for some content. We might try and do some interviews between now and the draft. We'll do some fun stuff, man. Yeah, that's it for me.
CK?
You can find me on the interwebs. You can check me out on Facebook Gaming, Twitch, Twitter, the Tiki Takis, and obviously here. And we're going to try to continue, I guess, to put out some dope content for you guys. So keep your eyes out for that.
Greg?
Draft party being the next big thing.
Yes, sir.
You can find me at the BatDaddy52 on Twitter. Do another show Friday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube. It's the Super Civil Servants podcast. We talk about television, movies, books, all kinds of different forms of media, usually genred around superhero and fantastical stuff, action, stuff like that. And, we got people from this show come on, Kevin Boshoven, Dent Dizzy, Panther Pickle, and others. Come check us out. It's a fun time. It's right after the Friday free-for-all. Come check us out.
Fantastic, man. We'll see you on Twitter at cat_chronicles. Get in that Discord. And until then, remember, I guess we're going to have to keep pounding them beers. I didn't drink it all tonight. I'm trying to go. I'm going to have to take a little sobriety check until we get to this draft, I guess. We'll see you on Tuesday night, folks. Friday, Tuesday, Thursday. We all around the place. Take us out of here, Cody.
Keep pounding in Pound Town, baby.